Well, I've been talking about the weather. It is 52 degrees. It's going to stay that way. The wind will build. It's out of the northwest at 12 miles an hour. Showers in the forecast. Rained all morning long here, and a lot of it in the Cleveland area. The Jets and the Browns just flipped the coin, and the Jets won. They've elected to take the second half kickoff. So the Cleveland Browns will receive with a look at Hugh Jackson. Rich, he is in his first year as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
And he's done a terrific job really adjusting to all the different quarterbacks he's been forced to play with through the first 7 games of the season. They haven't won yet, but they have been close.
And a look at Todd Bowles. 10 wins a season ago and trying to get themselves out of this 2-5 hole. Browns will have a couple back there to retrieve the kickoff. George Atkinson along with Ricardo Lewis. And the kickoff by Nick Folk, and we are underway in Cleveland. The Jets and Browns, and they're going to leave it in the end zone with a touchback to the 25-yard line and a 1st and 10. This takes us to 37-year-old quarterback Josh McCown, back after missing, Rich, 5 games with a broken collarbone.
He fractured the end of that clavicle on his non-throwing shoulder in week 2. He's worked hard the last 6 weeks to really maintain mobility and strengthen that shoulder. I thought he threw the ball really well at practice on Friday. There's not a lot this guy hasn't seen, Kevin, in his 14 years in the league.
He's been around too. Yeah, you're right. He was initially drafted by Arizona in the 3rd round years ago, and here he is, Josh McCown, with a 1st and 10. A lot of motion in this offense of Cleveland. Crowell's in the backfield. Right to work on 1st down, looking for his tight end, Barnidge. A Pro Bowler a season ago with a nice catch. He was working on Pryor. He's down to the 43-yard line, 42-yard line of the New York Jets on a gain of 32 through the air.
Well, really no surprise. He goes right to his tight end, Gary Barnidge, who's been kind of quiet the last couple weeks with all the changes at quarterback. You see he beats Pryor and Stanford right down the middle of the field.
Stanford starting today because of some injuries at the inside backer. 1st and 10. It's behind the tight end here. Tried to get a handle on it. That was Telfer with the coverage on the play by Julian Stanford. We're just talking about him. Let's talk about the Cleveland offense. Their left tackle, Joe Thomas, has been a Pro Bowler each year of his 9-year career. A terrific player. And we talked about running back Isaiah Crowell. He has the number 4 rushing average in the league and 9th in overall yardage, running the ball 2nd down and 10. This is Crowell. And right into the thicket. Looks like Stanford got a hand on him. And no gain on the play. On the line, the Jets welcome back Muhammad Wilkerson today. Missed the last week with an ankle injury. Julian Stanford making his first Jet start today inside. Lee and Carter are out. And quarterback Buster Screen is out with a knee injury, replaced by Marcus Williams in the secondary. 3rd and 10. And we've got now 5 in the secondary for the Jets. Duke Johnson is the running back. Pastor with the block at the right tackle. The wobbly pass caught by Terrell Pryor, who breaks a tackle. He moves down deep into Jet territory. Marcus Gilchrist brings him down on 3rd and 10. It's a gain of 24, and they take it inside to the 19-yard line.
Look at the cushion that Revis has given Terrell Pryor. See him able to make breaks. He is a big receiver. He is 6'4". He's almost 230 pounds, and he is a tough tackle in the open field.
Pryor has converted all 11 3rd down receptions into 1st downs. Here is a 1st and 10 for McCown, and it's dropped on the cross right there by the receiver Ricardo Lewis, a rookie. The coverage by linebacker Julian Stanford.
I think this offense, Kevin, is going to look a lot different today. You see the different substitutions that are coming on and off the field. I think we'll see different formations, motion shifts. They're using some no huddle. You know, this is what you get with a veteran quarterback that can handle some of the intricacies and some of the details of this offensive system.
You just saw some of the red zone numbers for both these teams. 5 in the secondary for the Jets, 2nd and 10 on the opening drive for the Cleveland Browns. Crowell is in. And again to the outside, a pinpoint pass. It's caught there by Higgins, the receiver, with Pryor and Roberts there. It is a gain roughly of 10. They put him at the Jet 9.
You know, McCown has always thrown the ball well. Great anticipation and accuracy, particularly on the short and intermediate throws. I just think his experience and his expertise operating this offense is huge for the Browns.
What a start for Cleveland. They got a 1st and goal. You can just sense with McCown there's a lot of composure on the side of the offense.
The guy that should be most excited, Kevin, is Gary Barnett, the tight end. I mean, this is the guy that they want to feature in this part of the field.
Crowell on first and goal. Works his way right into the grasp of Deion Simon and Josh Martin with a gain of 4. They take it near the Jet 5.
You look at Barnett last year, he had 9 receptions in the red zone. 8 of them went for touchdowns. This year, just the 1 reception in this part of the field, no touchdowns. This is the guy they have to begin to feature. I like the matchups against the Jets linebackers and safeties. His ability to change protection, change plays is huge for the Browns.
It's second and goal at the 5 with McCown getting blocks from his tight end and then throwing in the end zone for a touchdown. It's grabbed by Andrew Hawkins, a 5-yard touchdown pass on the opening drive, and Marcus Williams was beat.
Well, this just took too long to develop. If you're Marcus Williams trying to cover on the back end. You look at McCown, he's looking initially, it's not there. He has the ability to keep his eyes down the field. Always has thrown the ball well in the move and is able to find a wide open Andrew Hawkins in the back of the end zone.
Remember, Buster Skrine is out with the injury. Williams taking the place, and a good-looking opening game drive. A 32-yard pass to Barnage, a 24-yard pass to Pryor, and it was an 8-play drive with the extra point up and through on the play by Cody Parkey. A 75-yard game-opening drive. Josh McCown is back and on the move with a 5-yard touchdown pass to put the Browns up 7-0. Tell you what, Rich, good quarterbacking in this league, and I don't even know if Josh McCown's a good quarterback, but he's a competent quarterback, an experienced quarterback, and it showed, didn't it, on that drive?
Isn't it amazing how different this team looks when you have a veteran quarterback that can come in there and just function in the system?
It's amazing.
I mean, it looks completely different.
Parkey will kick it off to Jalen Marshall. He's a rookie free agent out of Ohio State to a knee. He'll leave it in the end zone out to the 25-yard line with a touchback for the Jets.
Yeah, let's go back and look at the touchdown. Hawkins does a nice job getting to the corner. He pauses a little bit, and then the quarterback is able to get out on the edge. But it's just that little pause that you see from Andrew Hawkins that's enough to be able to create some separation between himself and Marcus Williams. He gives the quarterback an opportunity to find an open target in the back of the end zone.
A lot of questions this week in New York who the backup quarterback would be. It is Bryce Petty. Christian Hackenberg is down, and the starting quarterback is Ryan Fitzpatrick, who on 1st and 10 has the offset eye. It's Forte. Got by Sheldon, and he's wrapped up in the middle by Ogba, who is their top draft pick, a highly drafted kid out of Oklahoma State with the gain of 4, and they take the ball out to the 28-yard line. So there is Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's on his 6th team in the NFL.
Isn't it amazing how quickly things can change in this business? I say that every week, but he thought he may never get the chance again to be a starter when he was benched last week. Then a quarter and a half into the game against the Ravens, he's right back in the huddle with his teammates. I thought he really handled himself well in the midst of a difficult situation. The key for him, Kevin, he didn't turn the ball over.
Browns are in the nickel on a 2nd down and 6, and Forte once again trying to get a block right there from his tight end Bostic. And all kinds of pressure brought down after a gain of a yard. Hit on the play by Meter and others. The Jets today at right tackle have Breno Giacomini. He was just taken off the PUP list yesterday for New York, so he is back at the right tackle. Clady struggling at the left tackle. And receiver Brandon Marshall has been struggling without the injured Eric Decker on the other side in the lineup. Defense is loading up on Marshall. 3rd down and 5.
And Marshall has seen his production fall off significantly since the injury to Eric Decker.
Powell is the running back. Fitzpatrick, he needs the 35. Oh, and he got it, and he lost his hat in the process. What a hit. And it was delivered by rookie Brian Body Calhoun, a gain of 5. And he's right at the line of scrimmage with the 1st down.
Well, we talk about nasty hits. I mean, look at this hit from Body Calhoun. It knocks the helmet of Ryan Fitzpatrick clearly off. We know how tough a player he is, but boy, that was a big hit by the safety. Wow.
And the rookie's leaving the field right now. It was a helmet-to-helmet hit, as you can see. What a hit taken by Fitzpatrick.
And he smashed his nose and his face right in the grass. Kevin, you and I saw him take a hit a couple years ago when he was playing for the Houston Texans. And that will wake you up. Wow.
Oh, kill push. Yeti. Yeti. Mike 5'6".
Yeah, they might check him.
They're going to check the spot.
They're looking at him, too.
They sure are. You're exactly right.
They're asking if he's okay.
There's an observer who is in the press box. As he talks.
That's the right thing to do. Kevin, I think it's the prudent thing to do. You have to make sure that was a nasty hit that he took on the sidelines.
Well, I told you Bryce Petty was the backup today. This is a story in New York. He's missed a month with an injured shoulder. He hurt that in the final preseason game. He has never appeared in an NFL regular season game before, but here he is, the 4th-round pick out of Baylor a season ago.
And I talked to Chan Gailey last night. He said he doesn't even believe that Bryce Petty's really 100%. He's not used to the speed of the game. They have to be very careful with the game plan, obviously with the inexperienced Bryce Petty.
But this system is working, as you can see right here, because there was an observer from the press box who radioed down, said we need to check the quarterback because the guy that hit him has left the field, and even Fitzpatrick seemed a little bit woozy getting up.
Wow, that was a big hit.
Challenging the spot, and we'll see exactly where it is as Pete Morelli will take a look at it. Timeout in Cleveland.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Casa Modelo. Quality beer since 1925.
Pete Morelli has talked with New York and looked at the replay.
Reviewing the play, the runner was down by contact short of the line to gain. Cleveland will not be charged a timeout or a challenge. 4th down.
It was a good challenge by the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, you can see when that knee is down, he's just shy of the 35-yard line, and you got to give Fitzpatrick some credit. He's doing everything in his power to try and make that 1st down, but that was a violent hit on the boundary.
Brian Body Calhoun has been taken to the locker room for the Cleveland Browns. He's the guy that delivered the hit. Here is Lachlan Edwards, a rookie, to punt for the Jets on their first possession. Duke Johnson waving everybody off. They get a good bounce, and it will be at about the 13. On a 53-yard punt by Lachlan Edwards, the Australian, from Sam Houston State, and a 7th-round pick. So here comes the quarterback, Josh McCown, for a 2nd time.
Yeah, and really, you look at the scouting report, this breakdown, this return of Josh McCown, I think, is significant. We saw that in the first drive. The inexperience, though, at wide receiver, they've got 4 rookies as well as Terrell Pryor. Not a lot of experience there. The defensive line clearly a strength for this Jets defense. And I would say the weakness right now is the play of the corners, and that includes Darrelle Revis, who has given up some big plays through the first 7 weeks.
4 in the Jets secondary, 1st and 10. McCown with Stanford coming on the edge, and it's incomplete. They were looking for Barge in the coverage on the play by the veteran linebacker David Harris, 2nd and 10. Still talking to Fitzpatrick. That's his coach he's talking to. So I guess the medical staff now, Rich, have gone to the side. They have bought into the fact that he is okay after taking that hit.
Yeah, that's Kevin Patullo, the quarterback's coach. So he's visiting with him, talking about what they've seen the first series.
With the 2nd down and 10, Isaiah Crowell. Brought down by Stanford once again, losing a yard on the play. They'll push him back to about the 11, maybe the 12. Indeed, it is the 12-yard line. Stanford is out of Wagner, a 3rd-year player, and he's from Bloomfield, Connecticut, getting the start today.
I really think it's key for the Jets to get some pressure on Josh McCown early. You don't want him to get comfortable and get that confidence. Remember, he hasn't played since week 2, and he's only been back practice in the last 2 weeks.
Hey, inside the 51. Inside the 51. Hurry, go!
It's a 3rd and 11. Johnson was in the backfield. Big stick right there, leveled by Calvin Pryor. Grab made by Hawkins. Hawkins caught the touchdown pass in the first drive, but now it's 4th down, and the punting unit is out there.
We had a good visit with Pryor last night and told us he prefers to be down around the line of scrimmage where the action is. That's really where he's at his best in run support.
Britton Colquitt will punt for the Cleveland Browns. Deep back is Jalen Marshall. There is wind, there is rain. And Marshall has a tough time fielding the ball, and finally jumping on him was Christian Kirksey, who's a linebacker. 42-yard punt. Not much hang time, under 4 seconds. 8:02 in the first quarter. Here comes Ryan Fitzpatrick for the Jets. Ryan Fitzpatrick was looked at by the independent observer on the sideline and by his own team personnel. He is back out there after taking that hit.
Not surprised to see the Jets open up, Kevin, with 3 straight runs. This is a Cleveland defense that has struggled to stop the run all season.
What's that? You kill! You kill! Set!
Forte in the backfield with the 1st and 10 for Fitzpatrick, and going deep, and he's looking downfield for Robbie Anderson. And jousting with him downfield, Jamar Taylor, who has had his troubles in the secondary for the Browns. 2nd and 10 for the Jets.
Every time Ryan Fitzpatrick sees the extra defender down in the box, he's going to check out of the run to the pass. They're really excited about Robbie Anderson, a guy that's got great speed, but this is just terrific coverage from Jamar Taylor.
Anderson last week had the 3 catches against Baltimore, including a 28-yard reception.
Hey, Mike's 5'6".
2nd and 10.
Yep, 56. White 80! What's that?
And this is Matt Forte. Oh, Redwell on the play. Hit by Demario Davis, the former Jet. Loss of 2. Let's take you to New York and James Brown.
Washington had a chance to win it across the pond.
Dustin Hopkins going to get a second shot. He missed it to wide left, 34 yards. Could we have our first tie 2 weeks in a row, JB? I don't know.
2 minutes left in OT. Back to Kevin Harlan.
James, thank you. Here it is 3rd and 12. Cleveland has scored on an opening drive 5-yard touchdown pass. Wesley Johnson is the center for Mangold. Powell was in the backfield and to the sideline, broken up. Once again going for Anderson. Once again the coverage by Taylor. Once again a punting situation for the Jets.
And once again, 2 deep coverage. Taylor knows that he has help over the top, so he's just going to sit on this little curl route. Anderson has to do a better job coming back to the football and fighting through the corner.
Duke Johnson is back to retrieve the punt from Lachlan Edwards. 2nd consecutive 3 and out for the Jets. Good punt. It's going to drive Johnson back to the 4. Hang time of 4.69, and 3rd down back will take it up, and he is hit on the play by reserve wide receiver Peak. Punt of 58, return of 14, 6:53 in the first.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Nissan. Innovation that excites. And by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Pro Football Hall of Fame with a lot of Browns in there, including Jim Brown, and there he is. Perhaps the greatest running back the league has ever seen. 3rd possession for the Browns, 1st and 10. Josh McCown getting by the rush of Richardson, feeding downfield. They got him. It's caught by Pryor. He beat Darrelle Revis, and he's got the ball at the Jet. 47, 35-yard catch.
Well, look at the protection. They keep a bunch of tight ends, and they're going to run the tight end on the crossing route. But the guy they really want is Terrell Pryor to the post. You see how shallow the safeties are. Josh McCown knows it. He's got him the whole way. He's able to fit this one in between Pryor and the backside corner, Marcus Williams.
1st and 10, Duke Johnson runs into his own blocker, and then down he goes. Cameron Irving, the center. He found no room. It's a loss of 3 back to James and Bart.
Boy, what else can you say about the Patriots and Brady?
Tom Brady takes his team down on a 14-play, 70 yards, and finds Danny Amendola for the 9-yard score. Patriots take the lead 7-3 in Orchard Park.
Unbelievable. They just keep getting it done. Back to Kevin Harlan.
Brady keeps getting it done, Rich.
He's a machine, Kevin. People say, is this guy going to slow down? I think he's playing some of his best football later in his career.
And maybe with a little chip on that shoulder, 2nd and 13 outside the go. Johnson's got it. Harris couldn't get him. Stanford pushes him off on the chalk. And he works his way to the far sideline. Takes it for a gain of 2. They'll put him at about the 48-yard line of the Jets.
You see a very high percentage of throws on first down against this Jets defense. And I think you ask yourself why you want to bang your head against the wall early trying to run the ball versus this front. They're so big, they're so strong, and they're so physical up front. We're seeing a lot of teams throw the ball on first down against this Jets defense.
Mike 52, Mike 52, stick up. Red 80. Red hot.
It's a 3rd down 11. Johnson in the backfield, and there's another pass caught by Hawkins right in front of Gilchrist, who was defending. It's a first down throw to the 31 of the Jets, and a pickup of 16 on the play on 3rd and 11.
Well, you're going to see the internal pressure, but look at the back come over and clean it up. This allows Josh McCown the time to sit in there, trust the protection, step up and make a good, accurate throw down the middle.
In a thicket of Jets defenders, he was well surrounded. 1st and 10. They go outside. This is Kevin Hogan who's in as the quarterback, who just took the place of McCown. Jordan Payton makes the grab. He's hit on the play by Pryor. It's a gain of 3. So Hogan, who started last week, who is a rookie free agent out of Stanford, who played for Kansas City in the preseason, was let go and then put on the practice squad here, comes in for the one play.
And that's the beauty of Hugh Jackson. He has a package of plays up for everyone who's dressing, including the young quarterback.
Now McCown back in, and Crowell staggers ahead, and he picks up 5 on the play, hit by Rontez Miles, and they put the ball at the 23. So Cody Kessler, who's a rookie out of USC, started last week injured, and then Hogan came in, and Hogan is the backup today.
And Hogan came in last week, Kevin, and had over 100 yards rushing against that Cincinnati defense. So a little bit of a tendency breaker. They put him out there, they throw the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hogan back in there at some point running that zone option.
3rd and 2. Crowell, the block, buys time for his quarterback, but that whistles over the head of Hawkins, who had some pretty heavy coverage on him across the way, including by Darrell Roberts. And now it is 4th down, and here comes the field goal unit onto the field for the Cleveland Browns.
So much easier to call plays with a veteran quarterback, a guy that you trust, that you feel you have a history with. Every time out with a young quarterback is a learning experience, and that has been a big challenge for Hugh Jackson and the Browns.
Cody Parkey, a 41-yard field goal try, and he's got it, taking the place of the injured Patrick Murray. Parkey has come in, settled down, knocks it in from 41, 10-0 Cleveland. We're back in Cleveland. Be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Get instant updates, expert analysis, highlights, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today. So the Browns have scored on 2 of their 3 possessions. A 5-yard touchdown pass to Hawkins on a game-opening 75-yard drive. And then moments ago, they got a 41-yard field goal from Cody Parkey. The ensuing kickoff, and he'll bring it out. Marshall tripped up. Nice defensive play for the Browns on special teams. Ed Reynolds. 19-yard return. Ryan Fitzpatrick came off the bench after being benched last week. They beat Baltimore, and afterwards Fitzpatrick.
The biggest thing in this game in order to last is to have belief in yourself, because when the owner stops believing in you and the GM stops believing in you and coaches stop believing in you, sometimes all you have is yourself.
Well, we talked to him last night. Rich, what'd you make of all that?
Well, I think he's frustrated. There's no question about it. I don't think he was pleased with his performance, Kevin, the first 6 weeks of the season. But, you work, you fight so hard to be the starter, it's hard to give it up.
Forte was in the backfield. They go outside to the tight end. That's Brandon Bostic. who is knocked out of bounds across the way. It is a gain of 4. Campbell makes the hit, spot him at the 17.
I really think the key for Ryan Fitzpatrick, he needs to play a clean game and really limit the mistakes. I think he needs to manage the game plan and go in with that mindset, make good decisions like he did last week, distribute the ball to your playmakers. That's how you give your team a chance to win.
5 in the secondary. It's second down and 6. Giacomini with the block. Fitzpatrick on the move, and again going for the rookie Robbie Anderson, and again covered by Jamar Taylor. It's incomplete, 3rd and 6.
I always say if you wait, you're late, and Fitzpatrick had a wide open Robbie Anderson on the sidelines. He was late and allowed Jamar Taylor the opportunity to work back down the stem. This is a game at that position. It's all about timing and rhythm and decision making in the passing game.
Receiver, Mike's 5'8".
Powell in the backfield. 5 in the secondary. Flag was thrown on that 3rd down and 6.
12 start. Number 78 offense. 5-yard penalty remains. 3rd down.
That's Ryan Clady, who has given up a lot of pressures. In fact, he's given up the most pressures on that line.
Yeah, he needs to play better. There's no question about it, Kevin. And this offense needs to play better. Their first 2 drives, 6 plays, 2 3-and-outs.
The Browns have 6 in the secondary. Fitzpatrick with a 3rd down and 11. And here he goes to the sideline. Tramon Williams is over there covering Chadron Peak, a rookie out of Clemson. 13-yard pickup, 1st down to the 25.
This is a really good-looking throw by Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, he just trusted. This is tight coverage. He puts it in about the only place that the receiver can make the reception. Terrific effort there by Chadron Peak.
7th round pick out of Clemson and a rookie. It's a 1st and 10.
180. What's that?
Powell in the backfield. Giacomini the block. And they come up the middle. Sacked on the play. It's the 1st sack of the game. Jamie Meter coming through, and also Ogba. They bring him down at the 19.
Well, you talk about a good pass rush. It starts with pressure up the middle and then speed off the edge. Go ahead and freeze it right here. You look at the push up inside and then how they lock in and they contain Fitzpatrick as he steps up in the pocket. As he steps up, there's nowhere to go. You've got Shelton there along with Meter. Just a good coordinated rush from the Browns.
As the rain continues to fall here in Cleveland, we have a delay.
Prior to the snap, with the snap imminent, defense, 12 men on the field. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
They had trouble getting guys out of the secondary into the sideline.
That drives a head coach like Hugh Jackson absolutely crazy. They have struggled on defense under defensive coordinator Ray Horton. Hugh has spent more time the last couple weeks on that side of the football trying to get this defense straightened out.
They do have Joe Hayden back today.
There he is. It's a good matchup. Hayden on Marshall.
A good one. 2nd down and 11. That's where they're going. For Marshall. Covered by Hayden. Oh, it was bobbled by Marshall. Just that close. Campbell came over to help the multiple Pro Bowler Joe Hayden.
This is a great matchup. They're both physical players. Hayden wants to jam him at the line of scrimmage. That's really what Brandon Marshall likes. There's just enough from the safety, Campbell, to get that one out. But that's pretty good coverage there by the Browns.
Hayden has been inactive the last 2 games and 3 of the last 5. He's got some pretty significant groin issues. Surgery, he tells us, after the season. 3rd down, 11. That sails as a flag as Hayden was watching Marshall. Ball may have been tipped on the throw.
illegal contact. Number 23 defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Joe Hayden.
Well, with Hayden back in the lineup, I think they can be a bit more aggressive with their calls, especially when he's matched up on Brandon Marshall. I think they can choose to help in other places because he can handle himself on an island. But problem with Hayden, Kevin, he's had a difficult time staying on the field the last couple of years.
You start tagging on that jersey, you tug that thing backwards.
They don't miss that.
No, they don't. Forte back in.
180.
First and 10, Matt Forte. Trying to get a block in there from Carpenter and picks up 3. He's up to the 32 and brought down by linebacker Cam Johnson.
Well, last week when you studied the tape, Kevin, of this Browns defense, it was ugly. They gave up 559 yards of offense to Cincinnati, including 271 on the ground, and the tackling at times was atrocious. At one point in the third quarter, Cincinnati was averaging 12.5 yards a carry. The Browns have to show that they can stop the run early in this one.
That's going to take us to the end of the first quarter. The Browns scoring on the game-opening drive, a 5-yard touchdown pass to Hawkins on a 75-yard drive. Also a field goal at the end of one in Cleveland. The Browns 10-zip. Tonight on CBS, there's a very special guest star on Madam Secretary. JB playing himself. Don't miss it. Madam Secretary tonight, 9, 8 Central. Only CBS. The DeMatha High star, the Harvard Crimson star, James Brown. We begin the second quarter with the first. They get 2nd down and 7. Fitzpatrick is caught by Enunwa, and he is hit on the play by Campbell and Hayden. It is a 13-yard pick, and he goes to the 45-yard line, and that is a first down.
It's tough when you don't have your Pro Bowl center in there. Good look at Nick Mangold. He got rolled up on last week in the game against the Ravens. Really felt like Wesley Johnson came in and did a nice job, but this is the guy that you talk about being strong down the middle, not just in terms of the running game, but the protections, the communication. That is a big loss for the Jets.
Kill.
Into the nickel, 1st and 10. Forte grabbed by Kirksey. It is a 2-yard gain to the 47. Let's go back to James.
A Derek Carr turnover leads to this.
Yes, Jameis Winston on the boot. He's going to find Russell Shepard for the 19-yard touchdown catch. Tampa up 10-0.
Oakland has been excellent on the road, but back to Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon.
Good point. The Raiders have been good away from the Bay Area.
Undefeated, 4-0 on the road. Better on the road than they are at home right now.
With a 2nd down and 8, it is the draw play, and it is Matt Forte. Nice cut. Good run. Another big one for him. Ridden down by Davis. Takes it down to the Cleveland Brown 35. 18-yard pickup and a first down.
Well, this is just a really nice looking run. It's not there, and he's able to bounce it to the edge. You don't think of Matt Forte with that speed and quickness to bounce runs, but doesn't see anything up inside, and he uses his great vision and speed to get on the edge of the defense.
Rich told you earlier he had a 100-yard rushing game last week against Baltimore. Had a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, 154 yards from scrimmage. A big day last week. 10th play of the drive right here for the Jets. Moving well, 1st and 10. Powell was in the backfield. It was deflected on the play. There was great pressure. Ogba may have gotten in the way, or Nassib. They were both coming from the side. A couple rookies for that Cleveland defense.
I think it was Nassib. I really like this player, Kevin. You know, he's set a single-season sack record at Penn State last year with 15.5. He was a Lombardi Award winner, a former walk-on. He plays hard. He's a physical player. The thing I like, he's 6'7", but he can bend his knees and really play with some leverage off the edge.
Always got to bend your knees. 2nd down and 10. Fitzpatrick, and he had Powell in the vicinity, but boy, there was a lot of shoving going on, and it looked like he may have been off stride, so it's incomplete. So on this drive, the Jets have gotten a 13-yard pass to Peak on 3rd down. A Cleveland penalty on 3rd down gave him a first. Enunwa caught a 13-yard pass, and Forte just had an 18-yard run for the Jets.
Well, it just seems like every 3rd down for the Jets so far in this one has been 3rd and 10 or plus.
Yeah.
Look at Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator for the Jets.
Plotting against 6 in the secondary for Cleveland. Powell in 3rd and 10. Getting the block from Johnson, and look at this run. Look at that block by Marshall. Over the pylon, it is a touchdown. 35-yard touchdown run, Bilal Powell.
This is all on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Kevin, he changes the play at the line of scrimmage. You see him, he goes up there, he sees something in the secondary. He knows that they're playing two-deep man coverage, and all they've got to do is block the defender who's covering Bilal Powell in coverage, which is Tracy Howard. And the tackling in the secondary for the Browns has been a problem all season long.
Powell's first touchdown this season. The longest Jets run this year. Vogel tried the extra point. That was a good-looking drive by the Jets. It began back at the 13-yard line after the field goal from the Browns. And that will be through. And the New York Jets are on the board with 12:44 to play in the second. Powell, the 6th-year running back out of Louisville, got some blocks, sheds the oncoming tackler, and takes it to the end zone. Rich, you said something about Fitzpatrick getting out of a bad play into a good play.
And that's the benefit of having a veteran quarterback. Kevin has been in a lot of situations. He saw the two-deep coverage, he saw the middle of the field open, and he knew that he had a one-on-one matchup with Bilal Powell on the rookie Tracy Howard. That was just a good alert play by the veteran quarterback.
Nick Folk will kick it through the mist in Cleveland. We're going to leave it in the end zone with the receiver, Ricardo Lewis. Deep back man right there for the Browns.
Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown. You got two deep man-to-man coverage. These safeties are going to help on the corners. And then you have the center who gets the block on the linebacker, in this case the safety Tracy Howard. And look at the blocking down the field. Brandon Marshall's going to turn it out, and again a missed tackle, poor angle in the secondary. In talking to the defensive coordinator Ray Horton on Friday, he said that's been our biggest issue. It's been poor angles of approach in the secondary when it comes to run support.
Josh McCown with the first. Here comes Bryant with the 1st and 10, and he throws it away. One more note on the play by the Jets there. Looked like Marshall had 2 blocks. He blocked one guy, and then he kind of shoved into the next guy coming. He blocked 2 for the price of 1.
That's why you like big physical receivers, Kevin, who are willing to participate in the running game. Brandon Marshall's 6'4", he's 230 pounds, and he does a terrific job down the field in the running game.
Malden is coming on that defensive line for the Jets. 2nd down and 10. Good block by Crowell. As they go outside here for Ricardo Lewis. It was on the ground. It's incomplete. Watch this block again.
Well, he knows he's going to run down the field because he knows that he has the corner turn. But now watch him turn back inside and get this block. And then he falls off and gets a little chip on the safety. I always say the more you can do. But what a great effort by a Pro Bowl wide receiver. You talk about being a complete player at that position, not just the guy that catches balls, but a willing participant in the running game.
And like we talked about before, he misses his buddy Eric Decker because they're really concentrating on Marshall.
Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick misses him even more.
3rd down and 10. Duke Johnson was in, and he's going to get the pass right here. They need the 35. Nice pursuit, initially hit by Marcus Williams, and he continues to dig, and he's hit by Mike Catapano. It is a gain of 4. They're well shy of the 1st down to the 29-yard line. The punting unit will be out there for Cleveland.
These are 2 hungry football teams. I always say adversity brings out the best. You look at a team like the Jets that have had their struggles. The Browns are a winless team. Both teams fighting to get back on track.
Jalen Marshall deep back. And this is Britton Colquitt, who spent 6 years in Denver, now in Cleveland. It is raining a little bit heavier now and more misty. There comes Marshall from the 19 with a hang of 4.47. He goes outside and returns it near the 34-yard line. 15-yard return. More Ryan Fitzpatrick coming up. 11:40 second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Honda. great deals are waiting for you at your local Honda dealer. Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. And by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
The 5 Fitzpatrick kids and Dad carving pumpkins. He's pretty good at it.
The jack of all trades, Kevin.
Jacko, okay, I understand. And Ryan told us they have another one on the way, number 6. It's due in March. Get another pumpkin. 1st and 10. Forte in the backfield. Pulling his Clady. And Carpenter shooting right through. What a defensive play by Christian Kirksey. Throws him for a 4-yard loss back to the 30-yard line of the Jets.
You know, when you get gashed the week before in the running game, you really come out and make sure that you set the tone. And this Browns defense has done a terrific job stopping the run early in this one, and I thought that was going to be key. They were embarrassed by last week's performance. Just a terrific play in anticipation by the veteran linebacker.
Jets trying to win their 2nd consecutive game. Browns are winless and looking for win number 1. 2nd and 14. More pressure, and that one's batted down. Nassib was knocking it down, and Shelton was coming up the middle.
Well, the right tackle has to be more aggressive. Ijalana, and you got to remember you're blocking a defensive end that's 6 foot 7 inches tall. You got to find a way to get his hands down. Look at this matchup right here. Nassib, we talked about, he's a taller player that does a terrific job jumping up and batting balls. Jets trying to run a screen out the front side.
Not sure if Giacomini is injured or not. Ijalana is in there at that right tackle. 3rd and 14. Ijalana with a block there. That's dropped. Enunwa with a drop right there, the leading receiver for the Jets on that 3rd and 14. So 4th and 14, and the punting unit back out there for New York.
Kevin, this is the very same play they ran last week against the Ravens. Quincy Enunwa catches it. He goes 69 yards for a touchdown. This one, he got a little antsy. I really like Quincy Enunwa. He leads the team with 32 receptions. Defensive backs have had a difficult time rerouting him at the line of scrimmage because of his size and strength.
3rd 3 and out. Edwards the punt. Duke Johnson is back, looking up into the mist. And finally is hauled down on the play by the Jets' Taiwan Jones. 20-yard return, 57-yard punt. 10:39 in the first half. On Tuesday, Cleveland Brown players join young patients receiving treatment at University Hospital's Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. For a Halloween party, the team interacted with kids in holiday games and crafts, including costume decorations and seasonal window paintings. The resume through 4 possessions with a couple tight ends here. Josh McCown with the 1st and 10. Crowell the block. Outside they go, looking for Pryor. Incomplete. Revis was defending on the play. 2nd down and 10.
That's another good matchup to watch. The veteran Darrelle Revis on Terrell Pryor, and Pryor's a guy that has a chance, I think, Kevin, to be a really special wide receiver. I think the story is amazing. A guy that played quarterback at Ohio State, played quarterback in this league, and has really embraced the opportunity to play a different position.
Made the switch from quarterback to receiver last year. With a 2nd down and 10. Here's Pryor. Revis is on him. Revis is following him, it looks like, on the field to the 36-yard line. Gilchrist was defending as well. It's a gain of 8.
And he's showing him some respect. He's given him quite a bit of a cushion. You know, we were out of practice on Friday. I was watching Terrell Pryor, and he's 6'4". He looks like a power forward, and he can really jump and leap and high point the ball. They're just looking for some one-on-one opportunities. Josh McCown won't back down from that matchup. They like the matchup against Darrelle Revis.
Into the nickel, 3rd down and 2. They hit him from behind. Caught by Pryor right in front of Revis. Hauls him down, getting by midfield to the 49-yard line of the Jets. It's a catch and run of 15 and a 1st down.
Well, this is just too good. You can't pass it up. Look at the middle of the field. It's wide open. There's nobody there. And look at the movement off the line of scrimmage. Pryor starts him outside. If he's able to get a little bit of a flatter throw, he may score.
1st and 10, going deep, but no one's going to be home here because Revis had it covered well, and Pryor looked like he was slow out of the blocks. Incomplete about the 15. Revis, who says he's getting in better shape, and actually has had a couple good games back-to-back after struggling to begin the season in the secondary.
You know, it's amazing, Kevin, when you watch the Jets, you know, the last couple of years, we talked about Revis Island, teams would go out of their way to avoid him. And you don't see that as much anymore. You go back even early in the season, teams have been going after Darrelle Revis, especially down the field, which tells me that they're not quite sure. They don't feel that he trusts his speed as much.
Hey, Yama.
They bring the left tackle, Thomas, to the right side here. 2nd down and 10. So Barnidge lets Catapano go by, and then Barnidge gets it after the chip. And then David Harris chases down Barnidge, and a flag thrown across the way. So the losses of a yard back to the 49-yard line of the Jets. A lot of motion, a lot of window dressing for the Browns defensively. That's the trademark of Hugh Jackson.
A little surprised, Kevin, with the play
Illegal
selection.
formation. Offense. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
The Browns have really come out and thrown the football. They've had 25 offensive snaps. 20 of them have been passes. And I think it just shows you the confidence that Hugh Jackson has in the veteran signal caller. It's tough to bang your head against the wall against a very good front seven. This is one of the best run defenses in football. In fact, last week they set a single game franchise record, giving up just 11 yards to the Baltimore Ravens.
It's a 3rd and 10. Thomas is on the left side that time. Pryor can't hold on to it. Revis was on his tail. It's incomplete. Would have been good had he hauled it in. Close to a 1st down, certainly on the play.
You've got to make this catch. This is a good throw. Lack of concentration by Terrell Pryor on the boundary. The good ones are able to make that catch time and time again.
Pryor was a 3rd-round pick by Oakland. He was the final draft choice, in fact, of the late Al Davis. The punt from Colquitt. Marshall back there looking up into a misty sky at the 15, the fair catch, 34-yard punt. 8:43 in the 2nd.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Hacksaw Ridge from director Mel Gibson, in theaters Friday. And by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
Winless Browns at 0-7 against the 2-5 Jets. You said last night about Fitzpatrick. I think he needs to play a clean game. What do you mean by that?
Well, Kevin needs to come out and make good decisions and not turn the football over. That's really been the big issue when you study Ryan Fitzpatrick throughout his career. He's a talented player. He seems to play better when he's not playing from behind.
It's a 14 handoff on 1st and 10 with Fitzpatrick throwing a block, and there's Kirksey who has to bring him down. After a 1st down run, he's up near the 30.
Well, the thing you love and you admire and you respect about Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's a gamer. And I think when you see him go up and block for his teammate, watch this effort by Fitzpatrick. He's going to go up in there and he tries to block the safety. I mean, you don't see a lot of quarterbacks do that. This game is important to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
1st and 10. It's Forte. Got by Kendrick. And got by Taylor. And then brought down after a gain of 2. He got hit over there by Jamie Meter. They'll spot him at the 32 with NFL Mobile. Stream live, local Sunday afternoon and primetime games live on your smartphone. Learn more at NFL.com/mobile. 2nd down 8. Marshall has not caught a pass today. He's blocked, but he's not caught a pass.
Been quiet.
It's Forte. Got the block from Clady. And he's shy of the 1st to the 36 with a gain of 4.
You just jinxed him. He missed the block.
Kirksey makes the stop.
But Tremont Williams crossed his face. You know, I think when you study the Jets, Kevin, certainly last week, I think that Chan Gailey is trying to limit the exposure of the quarterback, especially when you take into account the struggles that Ryan Fitzpatrick has had. I think you need to take the ball and the decision-making out of his hands some and really rely on their two running backs, Matt Forte and Bilal Powell.
Powell had the 35-yard touchdown run earlier. Fitzpatrick with 3rd and 4. Giacomini is in there. That was knocked down by Nassib. Is that the second one that he's deflected today? He has really gotten in the flight path of some of those Fitzpatrick throws today. It's 4th down and the punting unit is out there.
This one's Bruno Giacomini. Nassib, he's able to separate. You just look at the right side of your screen. He knows he can't get there. Does the next best thing. He jumps up there. He's 6'7". It's the second time, as you mentioned, Kevin, that he has knocked the ball down that Fitzpatrick has tried to throw to the right.
Edwards will punt, bobbles it, and gets it away. And it's wobbly and wounded. Duke Johnson over there with the coverage. 30-yard line out of bounds, 34-yard punt, 6:31 in the second quarter. Browns and Jets. Browns will get it next on CBS. Well, tomorrow's Halloween, and start your night with Kevin James in a scary, funny episode of TV's #1 new comedy. Kevin can wait. It's tomorrow at 8, 7 Central. Only CBS. Green picking up again. There's a look at Lachlan Edwards. He bobbled it and did the same thing last week, huh?
It resulted in a touchdown for the Ravens. The ball's a little bit different. That rugby ball is a little bit different than the NFL ball, but he's got to work on those hands.
Yeah, there. Same thing right there. Bobbled snap on 1st and 10. Crowell. And he was brought down by Jenkins on the play. There is no gain. 2nd down and 10 last week against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, a little bit of wind, but this one just clearly went right through his hands. You see Chris Moore, he's able to scoop it up and come up with the easy touchdown, but that was a big play in the game. You look at this one today, this one goes right through his hands as well. I don't want to say I've seen better hands on a clock, but come on, you got to be better than that, Kevin.
2nd down and 10. There's a dart at about the 40-yard line. Revis is on Pryor. It is a gain of 9, close to the 1st down, just shy of the 40.
Well, it's been a good matchup so far for the Cleveland Browns.
Revis had some off-season wrist surgery, and he came in heavy. He's had some hamstring issues as well. And he admits he was not in the best of shape when he came in. 3rd and 1. Duke Johnson, big hole, nice block by Greco. Into the secondary, Gilchrist brings him down. That's a burst of 16 and a Cleveland 1st down to the 45 of New York.
Well, you look at the block Irving gets, and then this is just really nice job. They cut off the backside. The Jets are going to get caught up. Harris steps up inside as opposed to across the formation, and Duke Johnson, I really like this back. He can break off some big runs if he gets a crease. Great burst and acceleration through the hole.
Second-year player out of Miami, 3rd-round pick a season ago. Crowell is in. Fake to Crowell, 1st and 10. Through the hands of Pryor. Coverage by Revis. The Bills, the Pats with James and Bart.
No give up on Buffalo's part.
That's right. Buffalo responds with a 3-yard Mike Gillislee run on a 5-play, 59-yard drive. They close the gap. New England up 14-10.
6:26 left in the second. Back to Kevin Harlan. Rich Gannon.
Gillislee starting because LaShawn McCoy is out. 2nd and 10. Now the rain picking up, Rich, even more.
You just hate this as a quarterback.
I bet. Up and out with a screen play. Quick over back. Here comes Crowell. Always breaking tackles. He's into the secondary. It looked like Pryor may have tripped him up. He did. A catch and run of 13. They'll put him at the 27 in New York. 1st and 10, Cleveland.
Well, this is really good look. And look at the line get out in front. I mean, they do a terrific job drawing the rush. And you see the back, he just fakes the inside draw. Look at the big lineman out in front. Isaiah Crowell, terrific in the open field.
Get it up there. Go. We're at 80. 300.
First and 10. Pryor and Revis. Good move by Pryor.
Boy,
Revis was there, gain of 10.
if I am the Browns, I am going to continue to throw the football to Terrell Pryor. I am going to make Darrelle Revis tackle all day. This kid's got some suddenness, and he is powerful. And he can clearly separate from Darrelle Revis. This is a matchup that the Browns have to continue to take advantage of. You look at the play selection, just really going after this Jets defense through the air.
First down and 10. Pound is on the move. Wisely gets out of bounds, coming off that broken clavicle, which kept him out for a month and a half. He picks up 3. He'll be at the 12. Make it the 14-yard line. They say he stepped out of bounds. Jets territory.
You know, it's amazing. You look at this, the challenge that this coaching staff has had, really trying to establish an identity as you see McCown go off the field, especially with all the changes they had at quarterback. You got to ask yourself, you know, who are we? What are we good at? What you can hang your head on in a critical situation. Now they've got the rookie in there, Kevin Hogan. See some of the runs we saw last week.
Second down, 7. Hogan throws outside. Hawkins is there and broken up on the play by Roberts with a gain of a yard.
Very few head coaches would take a quarterback like Josh McCown out of there and put in a rookie and have him throw the football. But I just think it shows you the confidence that Hugh Jackson has in his football team. And I will say this about the Browns. You know, this is a team that's 0-7 for the first time since 1999. But this is a football team that has the right mindset. They believe they have a chance to win each time out.
They've lost 10 consecutive games going back to last year. The Browns have lost 17 of 18, 25 of 28. And that is Hugh Jackson with a big chore in front of him. This quarterback is veteran McCown leading him downfield. It's the 2-minute. Terrell Pryor had a 144-yard receiving day earlier in the season, but he's got 101 against Revis in the first half.
And it just seems that, you know, everywhere they put him, he seems to excel, whether it's quarterback, as a receiver, outside, inside. Just has natural athletic ability.
2-minute warning, 3rd down and 6. McCown for the tight end. Flag on Pryor. Working on the tight end for the Browns, Barnidge. Pryor is whistled right there.
Well, just watch the first 2 steps. Pryor tries to go for the jam. He swings and he misses. Now he just grabs a hold of Barnidge, and then he panics with his back to the quarterback. We spoke to him last night. He said Barnidge doesn't have the speed. He really runs a lot of in-breaking routes. That time, he ran a seam route on the veteran safety.
Fullback is Danny Vitale. 1st and goal. Crowell. Touchdown. 1 yard. Isaiah Crowell.
Boy, this is a good-looking run. He's a very determined runner. I've been impressed with Isaiah Crowell's toughness. He can do real damage if he gets enough touches. This is a good physical run from a yard out.
Pastor came in there and made a block. Alan Bailey was providing leverage as well. It was a 9-play, 70-yard drive. And as you can see, his 5th rushing touchdown of the season. He also had a 13-yard catch and run.
He's a bit of a throwback. You know, he can create his own yards. I think he's one of those backs that seems to get stronger as the game goes on.
He went to Georgia as the #1 high school running back in the country. And then he transferred to Alabama State. They are reviewing it now.
Trying to see whether or not his knee is down before the ball crosses the goal line. It's going to be hard to tell in that scrum.
Initially, Pete Morelli was signaling for them to kick the extra point, and then he immediately stopped. Maybe on further review upstairs, they saw something they thought was a bit questionable, and so that's exactly what is going on now. Like we said, every turnover, every scoring play is reviewed.
And you don't realize how big of a back he is, Kevin. He's all 225 pounds. He packs that big punch, and he's very comfortable doing the dirty work up inside.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
They initially did that. Then they called Morelli back and said, well, let's take one more look at it. And they didn't. You see the result with 1:51 to go, and Cleveland has gone up on top. They've gotten a 5-yard touchdown pass to Hawkins on the game-opening drive. And then the 1-yard touchdown run by Crowell, like we were saying. He had a 13-yard catch and run. Here's the extra point, making it 17-7 with 1:51 to go. The Browns winless at 0-7 with first-year head coach Hugh Jackson scoring there with the lead on the Jets in Cleveland on CBS. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from our CBS studios in New York with JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. Scores, news, highlights, and a preview of Thursday Night Football. That'll be seen on NFL Network this week. That's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report. So the Cleveland Browns, who have their quarterback Josh McCown back, and he is seemingly given not only an experienced hand under center and with the offense, but given confidence to the rest of the team. They're playing well in the first half here.
Well, they just look so much different offensively, Kevin. You look at the execution, you look at the poise at the quarterback, and the ability to push the ball down the field a little bit to Terrell Pryor.
Nick Marshall is back, and he'll leave it on a knee in the end zone to the 25 with a touchback for the New York Jets. The Browns defense today.
Yeah, the other big story is the way the Browns have played on defense. Good pressure, good consistent pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Remember, they gave up a lot of big plays last week. Just 106 yards of offense so far here in the first half. Nassib's been busy knocking passes down at the line of scrimmage. And the effort and the intensity has been terrific. I know that makes defensive coordinator Ray Horton happy. He told us every day he drives into the facility, he feels they're one day closer to the playoffs.
3 timeouts for Fitzpatrick, 1st and 10 here. Ajalana with the block, but they come from the backside and they bring him down. That is a hit by Tyrone Holmes, who's a rookie from Montana. He was waived by Jacksonville. He led college football in sacks a year ago at Montana.
This is an effort sack. He's going to run by him the first time, but he doesn't give up. He just keeps chugging along. He's able to get Fitzpatrick down. Good effort there by Tyrone Holmes.
At Montana, he had 18 sacks. 18 sacks to lead all of college football a year ago. Doesn't see a lot of time, but he makes a play right there. Fitzpatrick, by the way, with the timeout taken, and Cleveland now with 2, is 3 of 12. 30 yards. He has missed his last 5 passes.
I go back to the hit, Kevin, he took early in the game. And maybe the impact that's had on him. He has not looked particularly sharp under center.
After the sack, 2nd and 10. Almost picked off on the play. Coming through is Kindred, who is a rookie and a 4th-round pick out of TCU. Incomplete.
Well, you go back to the very first series of the game, and Ryan Fitzpatrick scrambling, trying to make the first down. This is a nasty hit on the boundary. He left for a play, was evaluated on the sidelines, was able to come back in, but he has really struggled since. Just 3 of 13, as you said, Kevin, for 30 yards in this one.
6 defensive backs, 3rd and 10. Powell was in. Fitzpatrick throwing it behind Enunwa, who was covered by the linebacker Kirksey. It was the matchup he wanted, but the pass and back and incomplete. And now the bunting unit will take the field for the Jets.
This is a tough catch for Quincy Enunwa. It's behind him as he's working from right to left. Tough adjustment by the receiver. Got to find a way to get Ryan Fitzpatrick comfortable and back in rhythm.
Duke Johnson is back to retrieve the Lachlan Edwards punt. You know, he's had trouble getting some of these long snaps too. My goodness, very close. Howard almost got it. Short punt and takes a Cleveland bounce to their 42. 33-yard punt. by the rookie.
Well, you look at Terrell Pryor's day so far, it's been pretty effective against Darrelle Revis. He's becoming a much better route runner. I love his versatility, his athletic ability. Seems regardless of where you put him, he excels. He is not an easy tackle, and he is having great success against the veteran Darrelle Revis.
Browns have a couple of timeouts. Jets have 3.
Pryor already over 100 yards today. And keep feeding him opportunities against the veteran corner.
He was limited in practice this week, Pryor was, with a hamstring. 1st and 10. Johnson was in the backfield. That's the target. Nice spinning catch. Harris is chasing. Roberts couldn't bring him down. May have slowed him up, and then finally Harris jumps on his back, brings him down. 32-yard catch and run to the 26-yard line of the Jets. Two timeouts. Clock continues to tick. 1st and 10. Johnson, draw play. Blocked by Greco. Hawkins tries to give a block, and finally it was Gilchrist that got him. Bringing him down inside the 10. 16-yard burst. 1st and goal.
Boy, they have no answers right now for Duke Johnson. He's got the matchup on Harris. He just runs a little angle route, crosses his face. He's off to the races. And then they come right back on the very next play with a little bit of an inside draw. They use some unconventional matchups. You look at the Browns, they love the tight ends and the running backs in the passing game matched up against linebackers and safeties. That's always been a staple in a Hugh Jackson-led offense.
They don't look like an 0-17, do they?
No, they look sharp, and a lot of it, Kevin, I attribute it to the confidence that this football team has with a quarterback like Josh McCown. He's always been a terrific leader. Players enjoy playing for him. He has provided a spark so far in this one.
1st and goal, blocked by Thomas. Incomplete. Harris was chasing the crossing pattern of Andrew Hawkins. Incomplete. 2nd down and goal coming up. The Verizon halftime report being put together for you right now in New York. JB and Company. Scores, highlights, and news, and a preview of Thursday Night Football on NFL Network. The Verizon halftime report. Well, you get the win last week. You're looking for your 2nd straight. You're taking out a winless team. You could really build some momentum to the middle part of the schedule. So far, it's been all Browns. Blitz. Oh, devoured by Wilkerson. Missing last week, coming in today, brings him down. He is sacked in the play. And he's back to about the 16-yard line. Wilkerson with his 2nd sack of the season.
You look at him inside, they're going to bring the safety. He comes screaming up in there as well. They get squeezed a little bit short, and the center, Irving, takes a poor angle. He's a little bit late coming out. You can't afford to do that with a player like Muhammad Wilkerson. You can't be late. You've got to get your feet over there, and you've got to get your hands up in a hurry.
Browns took their 3rd timeout. Wilkerson, who broke his leg in week 17 last week, had an ankle injury, and there were some tendons close to that ankle, which caused him to miss last week, inactive against Baltimore.
He's really the key to it, Kevin. Without him last week, they were forced to play a 3-4, not a 4-3.
Good point.
He provides some real versatility for them inside.
3rd and goal at the 16. McCown on the move, and down he goes at about the 8. And chased down on the play by Leonard Williams with a scramble at 7. Field goal unit comes out there. They're out of timeouts.
They've got plenty of time. They don't need to rush it. These are situations that they rehearse every Friday in practice.
Long snap from Huglet. Hold by Colquitt. Cody Parkey will try a 27-yard field goal with time winding down in the 1st half, and he nails it. 20-7, winless Cleveland over the Jets. Hugh Jackson's going to be pretty happy. And welcoming back 37-year-old quarterback Josh McCown.
That was a good-looking half of football if you're the Cleveland Browns. They got everything they wanted to get accomplished. Josh McCown got off to a good start. They got the running game going, and they were able to find the ways to attack in the secondary with Terrell Pryor.
Back with the Verizon halftime report from New York after this, and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Fell on you. Because you're mine. Oh, yeah.
Halloween is tomorrow, and for the Jets, it's today because the Cleveland Browns are leading them 20-7 at halftime. We take a look now at Who Are You Lovin', presented by McDonald's. It began on the first drive of the game. Josh McCown to his smallest receiver, Andrew Hawkins, in the end zone. And from that point on, the Browns were on a roll. With Rich Gannon and Kevin Harlan, this is a winless Cleveland team with a pretty impressive first half.
It's usually the team that plays with a greater purpose and the greater sense of urgency. Clearly, Kevin, in the first half, it's been the Cleveland Browns. They've looked really sharp. Josh McCown has come in and provided a real spark for that Cleveland offense.
He's given them a lot so far. What about second half adjustments for these teams?
Well, if you're the Jets, you need to wake up. Offensively, they really have struggled, not only throwing the ball, but even running the football, something they did a really nice job of last week. The Jets, they've got to get some pressure on Josh McCown. He's already thrown for 228 yards in the first half. For the Browns, it's not time to ease up and pump the brakes offensively. They've been so good. Continue to apply the pressure. And finally, defensively, the Browns have done a terrific job shutting down Brandon Marshall. He doesn't have a single catch in this one. You know the Jets have gone into the locker room at halftime and have talked about halftime adjustments. They have to find a way to get Brandon Marshall going in the second half.
You'll recall, to begin the game, the Jets won the flip of the coin, elected to receive in the second half as they deferred, and this is Nick Marshall who takes it out to begin our second half. Run out of bounds by Derek Kindred. And through 30 minutes of football after that 24-yard return, here are some of the numbers between New York and Cleveland.
Look at the passing yards. 226 yards from Josh McCown. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kevin, really struggled in the first half, just 3 of 14. They had problems on third down. They haven't been able to. The big surprise to me is their inability to run the football against this Cleveland defense that was so porous a week ago against the Bengals.
Forte with a 1st and 10. And holding on for dear life is the rookie free agent out of Miami, Tracy Howard, playing the free safety. Gain of 5. He takes it to the 27-yard line of the Jets. Now we saw Fitzpatrick get rattled. You know the backup is Bryce Petty, who has never taken a snap in an NFL game, regular season game.
And I just don't think he's ready. Kevin, he doesn't have game action. Just started throwing the football again 2 weeks ago. And in talking to Chan Gailey last night, he said he doesn't know that he's 100% and ready to start playing in this situation.
2nd down and 5. Going deep. And may be picked off and torn away. And Enunwa was jousting with Taylor. Incomplete.
Well, this is where the problems usually show up for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Kevin, when you study his interception reel, which I did, 11 of them coming into today's game, many of them show up late in the game or when they're trailing by more than 2 scores. He becomes overly aggressive. Sometimes he predetermines where he wants to go with the football. He is very stubborn. He's a bit of a gunslinger in these situations. If you're Chan Gailey, you have to reel him back in.
6 in the secondary, draw play, 3rd and 5, Powell. Kirksey got a hand on him initially, close to a 1st down. Works his way to the 32-yard line of the Jets, who come in 2 and 5 and off a win last week, stopping a 4-game losing streak. They get the 1st down.
If you're Chan Gailey, you have to exercise some discipline as a play caller. You can't all of a sudden abandon the game plan because you're behind by a couple scores. You look at those numbers. Look at the numbers in the second half this season. And a lot of those were situations where the Jets were behind by a couple scores. You have to continue to rely on the running game. They've got two very competent backs in Bilal Powell and in Matt Forte, and a defense that has struggled stopping the run.
Powell on 1st and 10. Ogba along with Davis against his old team. They hold him no gain on the play. They stay at about the 31.
This Ogba is going to be a good player. An explosive upfield pass rusher who can set the edge in the running game. He's got good lateral quickness. They've got some good, talented young players. We mentioned Ogba and also Carl Nassib. He had a couple batted balls in the first half. They're just so, the problem with them defensively, Kevin, is you look at this defense, they're littered with a bunch of first and second year players sprinkled all across the board. They're so inexperienced on this side of the ball.
They deploy Forte as a receiver, top your screen. Here's a nice spinning catch made by Marshall on 2nd down and 11. Forced out of bounds by Campbell. So the catch and run takes him to the 49-yard line at Cleveland. It's a gain of 20, and it's a first down for New York.
I always say in a critical situation, you can't think about plays, you have to think about players, and Brandon Marshall is your best player. And so you have to find a way to get him a football in space, even if it means moving him around some.
His first reception, and for the 152nd consecutive game, he makes a grab. That's number 2 currently among active NFL players. Larry Fitzgerald has 186 with Arizona in a row. 1st and 10. Forte this time's in the backfield. Blocked by Giacomini. Spinning away and trying to get free. And Schobert, the rookie out of Wisconsin, was there. It is a gain of a yard. He's down to the 48. Schobert had been starting, but his snaps have been going down. Big Ten linebacker of the year.
Well, you look at those numbers, not a good start. He's a guy that has shown us in the past. He can be streaky. He can quickly turn the page and move on from a disappointing half of football. The key to it is getting Brandon Marshall and Quincy Enunwa some touches and some catches here early in the second half.
With a 2nd and 9, he's going to bring it up the middle. He's got to get to the 39. A flag has been thrown, and he was brought down from behind by Tramon Williams. 8-yard gain to the 40.
Sometimes when you take a hit like Fitzpatrick did early in the game, it'll discourage you from pulling the ball down and running.
Yes.
But Ryan Fitzpatrick, if we know anything about him, he's pretty stubborn.
The play. Result of the play, short, 3rd down.
The left, look, he's losing parts of his helmet here. The ear pad's got to go back in. The chin strap has been
putting them back together.
Look at this. That's the 2nd time now that his helmet has kind of exploded upon a hit, Rich.
You know, I never wore a chin strap, Kevin, with just the one buckle. I always wore an extra strap on there. I always wore the one with 2 straps because these guys on the other side of the ball, they're like assassins. They can knock you out quickly. To have your head on a swivel to play quarterback in the NFL.
With a 3rd down and 1 and Powell in the backfield into 6 in the secondary. He got the first, lunging for 3 with the coverage by the linebacker Kirksey on the side. They get a 1st and 10 at the 37-yard line at Cleveland.
When you really study Ryan Fitzpatrick, he makes quick decisions. He gets the ball out quick. He's actually tied with Drew Brees for the quickest average time to throw in a little over 2.26 seconds exactly, actually. And that's when he's at his best, when he's just wheeling and dealing and getting the ball out quickly from the gun.
It's Forte in a 1st and 10, and a block by Bostic, the tight end, moves a little bit of it down to the 31-yard line, and he picks up 6 on the play, and Demario Davis makes the stop for the Browns.
When you look at the changes the Jets have had up front, changes at the right tackle position, changes with the center, and I think it's affected their ability and even their confidence to be able to call more runs in this situation. Boy, last week they went up against a very good Baltimore front 7 and had great success rushing the football.
2nd down and 4, and Fitzpatrick finds an open Marshall. And now he's looking for some blocking from Bostic, and pursuing it well was the linebacker Kirksey. And it's a catch of 6 to the 25 of the Browns.
A really good look at Brandon Marshall. Look how soft Tramon Williams is playing on Brandon Marshall. His corners don't want the bigger physical receiver to to run by him in the secondary.
Six-time Pro Bowler Marshall, over 900 receptions, number 20 all-time. 11th play of the drive to open up the second half for the Jets.
You have to ask yourself, what did Brandon Marshall say to Ryan Fitzpatrick in the locker room at halftime?
Keep your hat on, probably. 1st and 10.
No, throw me the ball!
Yeah, right. No, I'm just kidding. It's a gain of 2. He has been in Fitzpatrick's corner from the beginning.
Well, he's been a big supporter, no question about it. You love Brandon Marshall's competitiveness, his passion for the game. He's a physical receiver who can win at the line of scrimmage with his strength and his quickness. He's so good. As I've admired him, his ability to use his hands and the long arms to be able to create some separation from defenders. And you see they're trying to work these safeties out there to help.
Second down 9 into 6 defensive backs. In stride again. Anunwa breaks 1 tackle, breaks another tackle of Kindred, breaks a 3rd tackle and takes it in. A touchdown. Kirksey had a shot at him inside the 5, couldn't bring him down. 3 broken tackles. Anunwa takes it in. 24-yard touchdown reception. The Jets are back in business.
Well, Anunwa, he's much better and more comfortable working inside. And he's such a big, physical, powerful receiver with the ball in his hands after the catch. He is a tough tackle in the open field. He is really, last year was a learning experience for him in the system. This year, he's really found his niche as an inside receiver.
Coming out of halftime, the Browns have allowed 6 touchdowns in 8 games on the first possession by their opponent. It's happened again. Quincy Anunwa had a touchdown reception last week at 69. This time a meandering run of 24 on a catch. Anunwa, who has just caught his 3rd touchdown pass of the season with a terrific run after the catch. A 24-yard throw from Fitzpatrick. A good way for the Jets to begin the second half.
Yeah, you look at the Browns, Kevin, they've got to be able to eliminate the explosive plays, especially on the back end. Last year, this is a secondary that allowed 34 touchdown passes, 3rd most in the league. Poor tackling on that last one against Anunwa.
Folk, and it goes to Ricardo Lewis, who leaves it in the end zone for the Browns. It sets up a 1st and 10 for the 25 from McCown.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by the all-new Chrysler Pacifica, imported from Detroit.
Let's see how the Browns respond to the Jets. Second half opening drive and a touchdown pass. 1st and 10, Crowell. A lot of congestion right there. Stanford falls on him. Leonard Williams, no gain on the play. They stay at the 25.
Yeah, really was impressed with what I saw from this Cleveland offense in the first half. This little sugar huddle, they've done a nice job changing formations, personnel groupings, but more importantly, really controlling the tempo at the line of scrimmage.
Move! Go, go, go.
And you get that with a veteran quarterback that understands and has a history in the system.
Second down and 10. That's DeVal, who is a tight end and a rookie from Princeton who makes his first NFL reception right there. Gain of 4.
Well, you look at the first half possessions, I think real positive for the Browns, Kevin, is that they were able to avoid the negative plays, the penalties, the sacks, the turnovers. You know, they're not good enough right now to be able to overcome the mistakes, and you have to play smart to have a chance to win against a good opponent, a good defense, and they're able to do that in the first half offensively. We've seen a bunch of priors sneaking down at the line of scrimmage early and then bailing.
3rd and a long 5. Barnidge a block. They go outside. It's caught right here by Ricardo Lewis. And he's into the secondary and brought down by Marcus Gilchrist. It is a gain of 25. He'll take it to the Jet 45. Missed tackle there by Burris.
Well, they're so young at the wide receiver position, but in talking to Hugh Jackson on Friday, he is excited about Higgins, about Lewis, about some of the young receivers. They're going to get Corey Coleman back at some point. Injured in week 2 with a hand injury. He's getting close, but they have young players at that position that have a big upside.
Crowell, 1st and 10. Into the secondary. Brought down by Gilchrist. Head over heels to the 34. Pickup of 11. 1st down to James in New York.
Raiders getting their road legs together.
Yeah, I tell you what, Derek Carr is going to drop back. He's going to find Amari Cooper, who makes the play, 34 yards for the touchdown, as Oakland takes the lead 17-10 in Tampa.
I don't count them out. Back to Kevin and Rich.
1st down and 10. They go outside.
That might be a
I was just going to say it was in back.
They should take a look at that. That was a backwards pass.
Exactly.
On the field, is it was a backwards pass. The ball will be spotted where it went out of bounds.
Loss of 4.
Second down.
Loss of 4 on the play.
Now you're going to see the receiver come out of the way. Watch where this ball goes. It actually goes beyond the shoulder, the upfield shoulder of Andrew Hawkins, and Josh McCown knew it right away.
So the Jets begin the second half with a touchdown pass at 24 to Enunwa. Browns are marching the other way. 2nd and 14. Good time. Going deep and incomplete to the tight end, Randall Telford. A lot of coverage at the other end of the field, and namely from Roberts in the secondary for the Jets and Williams.
McCown smartly threw that one away, trying to run the 4 vertical routes. Knew didn't have a good look at it, so he just pushed that one out of bounds.
They're going to get some yards getting field goal range here, Rich, on this drive.
And that's what you got to be thinking if you're Josh McCown on 3rd and long. Check down here, if you need to pick up 6-8 yards, it gives your field goal kicker an opportunity.
3rd and 14 through the hands of Lewis, who has been battling drops, coverage by Stanford. That's the one thing the rookie from Auburn, a 4th-round pick, Ricardo Lewis, has been in his way. The drop passes, and one right there.
Well, the wide receiver position, we've been talking about the inexperience. It's a position that the Browns desperately wanted to upgrade in the offseason. They used their 1st-round pick on Coleman. And they drafted 3 more receivers later in the draft. But the uncertainty in terms of the quarterback, Kevin, just anticipating what they'll do, always a concern.
Colquitt to punt. All about placement. Marshall, fair caught, 16-yard line. 22-yard punt. Jets will get it again. They're within striking range now, 2014. These beautiful scenics with their aerial coverage today provided by DirecTV. On the shores of Lake Erie. Rain earlier. Cool temperatures, low 50s. Here's a 1st and 10. After the Cleveland punt.
Mike's 5'8". Adam. White 80.
Forte, 1st and 10. Ogba devours them. Back at the 14, loss of 2. The former Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year and a rookie for the Browns.
Well, you got to get a better effort out of your right tackle. He's just going to get beat right across his face by Jelana. Ogba's showing some good quickness off the snap.
Ijuana is back at that right tackle. Giacomini's got a finger injury, we're told. He could return. 2nd and 12. Johnson the snap, angled out today because of the ankle, and a fluttering pass incomplete. Looking for Marshall, coverage by Howard, 3rd and 12. Ogba came up the middle. A lot of pressure on that quarterback again.
Having a difficult time blocking the rookie, Ogba. You have to get some help on him. With 3rd down has been a problem for the Jets. The 6th time today that they have faced a 3rd and 10 or longer against this Cleveland defense.
They need the 26. Powell out of the backfield, and it may have been scooped in by Anderson with the coverage by Taylor. They call it a catch at the 30. He picks up 16 on 3rd and 12 and a Jet first down.
You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick told us there are a couple throws that he could make in his sleep, and this is one of them. He's always thrown the in cuts really well. I think he trusts, he feels comfortable, he's got good vision. Doesn't seem to throw the deep out-breaking routes as well. I don't know if he trusts his arm strength, but those in cuts are throws that he really feels comfortable making in Chan Gailey's offense.
Wait, 80!
To the 1st and 10. Going deep, he's got Enunwa. What a catch! And there he goes. Beating Jamar Taylor. Takes it inside the 15 of the Browns. What a play. A great strike. A catch and run of 57. And it's 1st and 10 for the Jets.
Well, the inexperience at the safety position is a problem right now for this Cleveland defense. And this is just too easy for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Play action. Look at the draw you get from the safeties. No one in the middle of the field. I mean, this is amazing. And that's why the Browns have continued to give up big plays this year. You put your corners on an island with no help inside from the safety.
1st and 10. And they're going here for the wide receiver. Coverage by Hayden. Marshall could not have gotten to the ball. High and incomplete, 2nd down and 10.
Boy, what a tough couple of weeks for Joe Hayden. We talked about how difficult it's been for him to stay on the field the last couple of years. Was injured in training camp last year. Ended up playing in only 5 games because he had a thumb and a couple concussions. In March, he had ankle surgery, and now he's dealing with a groin injury. Last Tuesday, he was in Philadelphia. He had 2 injections in his right groin and 1 in his left. He's out there right now trying to cover Brandon Marshall. That's not an easy assignment.
2nd and 10. Fitzpatrick incomplete for Enunwa, and the coverage by Tramon Williams. Used to play in Green Bay, was a Pro Bowler there, comes here as a free agent. Fitzpatrick has thrown the most red zone interceptions of any quarterback this season so far in the NFL.
One of the problems that they've had, Kevin, is 3rd down in the red zone. You look at those numbers there, 1 of 12. We talk about 4-point plays. If you can convert here, now you give your team and your offense a chance to go for 7 instead of 3s. This is an area where they really have struggled.
Powell is in 3rd and 10. He's around the block and across it goes. Caught by Anderson, looking for a block from Powell, and he's inside the 5. Williams got a hit on him. Howard got a hit on him. Then it's a catch and run of 9 to the 4 of the Browns.
They are really excited about this rookie, Robbie Anderson. Fitzpatrick told us last night he has to do more. We lost Eric Decker. Someone other than Brandon Marshall has to step up in the passing game, and so far it's been Enunwa and Robbie Anderson.
4th down.
Number 72 is reported as eligible. 72.
That is Brandon Shell is coming. Timeout taken by Todd Bowles. It's 4th down.
New York.
Less than a yard to go. You're down 20-14. And you're moving the ball well for a 2nd time in the 2nd half.
Well, I think when you're 2 and 5, Kevin, it's a lot easier to make these decisions if you're Todd Bowles. You have to send a message to your football team that we are not going to feel pressure in these situations. We are going to be the team applying the pressure. Well, that spot is very close. It looked like he got it.
I think that was not a good spot for the Jets, obviously.
You wonder why he didn't challenge it. Wound up using the timeout.
Looked like they got the 1st down.
Wound up using the timeout instead.
Now 4th and 1. Bostic is in the backfield with Forte, who gets the call. He'll slice his way in for the touchdown. 4-yard touchdown run. And that ties the game with the extra point coming up.
A gutsy call by Todd Bowles. Watch him pull the right guard winners. You're going to see Matt Forte. He just follows his big guard right downhill. He's able to bounce it from the A gap to the B gap between the guard and tackle.
Dakota Dozier was on that side too, who's been active for some of this season. He offered a block. And 2 second-half Jet possessions, 2 second-half Jet touchdowns. The extra point for the lead for the first time today. Matt Forte with a 4-yard touchdown run and a good-looking drive engineered by Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Jets have come back, leading by a point.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx, helping small businesses simplify e-commerce. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
John Glenn Museum. He's a Buckeye. Good-looking scoring drive again. 2 in a row by the New York Jets, who trailed at the half 20-7. Now they lead by 1. They leave it in the end zone. Really? No, they're going to bring it out. Look at Lewis, Ricardo Lewis.
It was a bad decision.
It was the hesitation, and then the gang tackle. He was hit on the play by Josh Martin and Nick Marshall. 22-yard return, 2:05 in the third. I'd like to remind you, Week 8 continues later today on Fox. Then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC, and then tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN and Westwood One Radio. Kurt Warner and I will be at Soldier Field, Vikings and Bears. 1st and 10. Fake to Crowell, who offers the block for McCown, and it's incomplete. And was it picked up by Gilchrist on the ricochet? They say it was down, hit the ground. They were going for Andrew Hawkins. Incomplete, but just that close.
This is the challenge when you're throwing to a 5'7" wide receiver. It's just a little bit high, and fortunate here that this wasn't picked off. Marcus Gilchrist was in position. The ball clearly, though, hits the ground. It's always a challenge, Kevin. You got a guy that's 5'7". That's tough. With these bigger corners and the long arms.
2nd down and 10. This is Crowell weaving his way to the 22-yard line. Brought down by Williams and picks up 2 on the play.
You learn it's a big man's game, especially inside. You know, you start putting Hawkins in there at 5'7". He's not really going to help you dig out safeties and corners in the running game. And it's tougher on a quarterback like Josh McCown to throw those deep crossing routes. Talked to one general manager. They don't draft any receiver unless he's at least 6 foot tall.
Line of 20.
I get it. Into the nickel, 3rd and 7. Barnage is in off the bench. Going deep. Oh, he's got separation. Pryor pushed off on Revis. There is no flag. Although Revis thinks he was shoved, and it looked like from up here he was. It's 4th down. Punting unit is on the field for the Browns.
Well, a little double move, and Revis gets beat. Look at the patience by Terrell Pryor, and he just can't get this one. Josh McCown overthrows it. Wow, that could have been a huge, huge play for the Browns. Josh McCown knows that he had him.
It's Colquitt to punt. Keelan Marshall is back. Keeping it outside the numbers. And then got the bounce. Let's see how much yards they give him. The 19-yard line. Nice punt by Colquitt. 59 yards. Well placed. The Jets have scored 14 unanswered points.
Yeah, after a tough first half, they come out in the second half. They've looked really sharp. Fitzpatrick throwing the ball to Quincy Enunwa, getting Brandon Marshall back involved. A couple explosive plays down the field. The protection has been better. And, of course, they're able to finish off with a big run from Matt Forte, but they look like a much different team. I'm curious. You're always curious what the coach said at the half. You wonder if players stood up and said something. This is a team that's fighting to keep their postseason hopes alive.
Fitzpatrick 1st and 10. And almost hauled in by Marshall with coverage deep in the secondary by Campbell. One of the keys on that last drive, Rich, was a Fitzpatrick to Anderson 16-yard completion on 3rd and 12. The Browns defense came in today as one of the best in pro football in defending 3rd and 10 or more. But today, the Jet offense has converted 3 third and 10 or more plays to keep the chains moving.
Yeah, Enunwa, Brandon Marshall, these are bigger receivers, Kevin. If you don't win at the line of scrimmage, it's very difficult on these corners.
3rd down and 10. 2nd down and 10. Excuse me. Here comes Forte. Kirksey gets him. With also some help from Jamie Meter. There's a gain of 6 on the play. And Tramon Williams. And a player is down for Cleveland. 25. Howard. Tracy Howard, the rookie free agent from Miami, who made his first start in the NFL last week for the injured Jordan Poyer.
You just look at the Browns, really on both sides of the ball. They're a very young team as they try to rebuild this roster. They had 14 selections in last April's draft. It's the most among all teams, and 12 of those picks are on Cleveland's active roster. And that's a lot of young players, and as you know, with young players, there are going to be mistakes. It's a big reason why I think they've gotten off to a slow start. That and the struggles and the injuries and the inconsistent play that they've had at the quarterback position.
Just 5 defensive backs now, 3rd and 4. Powell's out of the backfield, and they go for the back shoulder throw. It's caught by Marshall. His coverage, Joe Hayden. The completion to the 36 of the Jets, a pickup of 11. And that is a 1st down.
Pretty good coverage, but this is the most difficult pass to defend if you're a corner. This back shoulder throw, particularly to a taller receiver like Brandon Marshall, who's 6'4".
They'll let the clock wind down here, Rich. What a beginning to the second half for the Jets. 2 possessions, 2 scores. They're in the midst of their 3rd second half possession right now.
Well, they got their quarterback back on track. They've got the ball to Brandon Marshall and Quincy Enunwa, and that's really been the difference so far in the second half.
Back after this, you're watching the NFL on CBS. Quarter with the Jets with the ball, leading by 1. They trailed at one time 20-7. That was a halftime score. 1st and 10 on their 36. Bubbled and dropped. Enunwa. And the coverage in the play by Tramon Williams. Incomplete pass. 2nd down and 10. Well, they were honoring some of the Cleveland past today, and there's Marty Schottenheimer from the 1986 Cleveland Browns.
And Kevin, I was so fortunate to have the opportunity to play for Marty in Kansas City. I think he's one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time. He won over 200 games. You look at his record. Had some struggles in the postseason, no question about that, but he was a guy that could go in and turn around the fortunes of a franchise. He did it in Cleveland, he did it with the Redskins, he did it in Kansas City, San Diego. Everywhere Marty went, he seemed to have success.
2nd down and 10. Shifty moves here by Powell. Head down, brought down by Kirksey. He's out to the 45, Rich, and he picks up 9. Some of the news regarding Marty Schottenheimer being here was the fact that he is, in the words of his wife, Pat, in the early stages of Alzheimer's. He is a 3rd and 1 quarterback keeper by Fitzpatrick, who takes it to the 46.
But you know that won't slow Marty down.
No,
Kevin's still out on the golf course a couple times a week. He's still very active, loves football. Just of all the coaches that I played for, and I think I played for 6 or 7 of them in my 17 years, Marty was a coach that you felt like every week you had a chance because you were so prepared. And he was so passionate about the game. And his pregame pep talks during the week in the locker room were the best I was ever a part of. I remember him when we were in Kansas City, we get ready to play the Raiders. I mean, you wanted to go beat the Raiders on Wednesday or Thursday.
Right.
And, he could coach any segment of the football team. He could coach offense, he could coach defense, he could coach the special teams. He was an outstanding football coach for so long in our league, and we were blessed and fortunate enough to have him.
Left Cleveland and went to Kansas City. That is a 1st down by the New York Jets. There's Todd Bowles in his 2nd season. They go 10 wins last year. They just missed the playoffs. There was a lot of hope, a lot of promise coming into the season for this team and their $12 million quarterback on a 1-year deal, and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And that's been their Achilles heel right now, has been the turnovers and the inconsistent play at this position. So far, so good for Ryan Fitzpatrick in this one, though.
Forte, 1st and 10. With a drive and a tackle made by Jamie Meter, he picks up 6. He's down into Cleveland's 48-yard line.
Well, we know Ryan Fitzpatrick's a smart guy, having graduated from Harvard. But I think the big thing with him, Kevin, is just staying in the moment. You know, not trying to do too much. I talked to Chan Gailey last night, and he told me that, you know, last week he was a different player. He wasn't trying to win the game. He was just trying to go out there, play within the system, make good decisions. And that's what he has to continue to do. He gets himself in trouble when he tries to do too much.
Right now he's got a 2nd down and 4. Fires one out to Anderson. He is smothered by Taylor. He gets 7. He gets a 1st down to the 42 of Cleveland on that 2nd down and 4. Upcoming the 9th play of the drive.
Look at the catch there. Look at the concentration. He's got Jamar Taylor hanging all over him. And somehow the rookie's able to squeeze it and make that catch.
Momentum has swung. 3rd consecutive long drive for the Jets, too.
Got to find a way to get around Ryan Fitzpatrick a little bit right now. He's got too much time back there in the pocket.
Long in terms of time, 3.5 minutes. 1st and 10. There was a block by an inline. There goes Powell. There he gets a block downfield from Peak. And he takes it into the grasp of the defense at the 22-yard line. Derek Kindred brings him down. 19-yard burst to the 22 of Cleveland. 1st down.
You want to see the best blocking receiver in the game? Check out Quincy Enunwa. This guy loves it. He loves to go in there and dig out linebackers and safeties. He's at 235 pounds. We see what he can do as a receiver, but he's a willing participant to go in there and get his nose dirty in the running. And look at the size of those biceps. It's like a tight end playing wide receiver. Love it.
Forte, 1st and 10. Always breaking tackles again and finally grabbed by Holmes. And by Howard. It is a gain of 5. And he's down to the 17.
Tracy Howard has missed too many tackles already this season, Kevin. And you just study the tape. That's something that really jumped out to me. And talking to Ray Horton, you know, he said that the big issue has been the poor entry angles. They're averaging just under 10 missed tackles a game. That's a lot.
That's a heck of a lot. Second down and 5. A little sidearm throw there, get around Nassib, and here comes Forte. He makes a juke, and he's down to the 1. 15-yard play. How about the sidearm delivery of Fitzpatrick? It's 1st and goal for the Jets.
We talk about the importance of being able to change and throw from awkward body positions. How about that? Nassib is knocked down a couple balls, so what does he do? He goes low and around the 6'7" defensive end. That's impressive from Ryan Fitzpatrick. The ability to change your launch point and also the ability to be able to throw from different body angles.
1st and goal. Forte winners a block. Down to the 1. Hit by Paya. Stephen Paya on the defensive line.
You play quarterback, it's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes they don't block them. And when they do, you have to find a way to make a play. And that's just what Ryan Fitzpatrick was able to do in that situation. You know, Kevin, you think about how he started the game. He almost got knocked out of the game. And the thing I love about and respect about Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's got toughness, he's got moxie. He's a guy that will compete. And you love that at the quarterback position.
2nd and goal at the 2. Extra blocker in there, Dozier. There was a block by Carpenter. It's a touchdown run by Matt Forte. A 2-yard touchdown run. And the New York Jets have scored 20 unanswered on the Cleveland Browns.
Well, Forte has really run the ball well inside.
But Carpenter just opened up a big hole there at that left guard position.
He didn't even block the safety. No problem for a back like Matt Forte. He just winds it back around. He's able to find a crease on the right side of that Jets offensive line.
2nd consecutive touchdown run by Matt Forte. 3rd consecutive Jets score since halftime. And 21 unanswered points by the New York Jets, who trailed 20-7 at halftime. Forte on the ground. And this time, bulldozing in for 6. Long drives, touchdowns the result, trailing 20-7 at halftime. The Jets have scored 21 unanswered and lead it by 8.
It's like two different teams here in the second half.
I agree. Trying to notch their second consecutive win after the win last week over Baltimore. Stopped a 4-game losing streak. They'll lead that in the end zone. Out to the 25-yard line. George Atkinson with the catch. A lot on the plate now for Josh McCown.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Auto Trader. Find your perfect new, used, or certified car on Auto Trader. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
That's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There it is from our direct TV blimp. Great shot over Lake Erie coming up. Subway postgame show, JB and Company, scores, news, highlights. All coming up in the Subway postgame show from New York. Cleveland is only one score down. With all this Jet talk, they're down by only 8. Here's the run by Crowell. Drilled on the play by a couple, including the linebacker. Stanford a gain of 5. He's up to the 29 of the Browns.
The Browns just haven't had a lot of opportunities in the second half. Just 10 snaps, just a little over 4 minutes of possession. The Jets have dominated the second half, 33 plays and over 16 minutes of possession time. Browns got to put together a drive here, give their defense a chance to rest up some.
Second down and 5. Looking long. Revis almost had it, and it was picked off on the play by Gilchrist. They were both back there watching Pryor. It's a turnover, and Gilchrist takes it the other way. His second interception of the season. Had an interception last week against Baltimore, Gilchrist did. Returned it 24 yards. He returns that 34 yards. His second pick in as many games for the Jets.
Watch Pryor. He's going to stop, Kevin. He actually slows down, doesn't think he's going to get the ball, then realizes it's coming. We talked about the indecision with the inexperienced wide receivers. If you're Josh McCown, the only thing I can say to you is don't let his mistake become your mistake. Late down the middle, never a good thing, but Pryor can't stop in the middle of the route.
They're going to review the play. As they do all turnovers, 8:55 to play in the fourth. It's the Jets by 8. Pete Morelli has taken a look at the play.
After reviewing the play, the runner was down by contact at the 24-yard line. Please set the game clock to 9:03.
So Marcus
Thank
Gilchrist, who was a second-round pick by San Diego 6 years ago, comes up with his second interception in as many weeks for the New York Jets. The foot of Pryor got him as he was falling.
Yeah, just keep an eye on that left foot of Pryor. He's going to get tangled up with the safety, Marcus Gilchrist, and that's just enough to get the safety on the ground.
It's a 1st and 10 handoff. Forte trying to find some space. Demario Davis is there. It is a gain of a yard. He's up to the 24-yard line. You take a look at the time of possession on the play. I want to go back, if I can, real quickly to Pryor, who caught 6 passes in the first half for Cleveland for 101 yards, building a 20-7 lead. They have not thrown to him, but that last time in the second half, he's not made a reception in the second half.
We talked about halftime adjustments. Kevin, they've done some different things. They've rolled more coverage his way. Revis has changed it up a little bit. He's played some press bail. He's played up. He's really given him some different looks here in the second half.
Powell in, 2nd and 10. And across the middle here comes Marshall. Room to roam and out of bounds into Cleveland territory. Beats Hayden, covered by Kindred. Spot the ball at the 45 of the Browns. A catch and run of 31 for Brandon Marshall.
Kevin, I mentioned it earlier. Fitzpatrick really loves to throw these in-breaking routes. And Brandon Marshall, Quincy Enunwa, you've got big receivers that are comfortable working in the middle of the field. This is a route he has always thrown well. Great anticipation. He puts it in front of the receiver and allows Marshall to get into the transition of the run.
Tight end Kellen Davis is out. They are looking at an injury he sustained. Enunwa just hobbled off the field. 1st and 10. there at the point of attack by Winters. It was a handoff to Forte, and he was losing a yard back to the 46, and hit by Xavier Cooper on the defensive line for the Cleveland Browns.
Look at Forte, 30 carries last week, 22 this week. I think it just pays dividends when you're able to lean on the running game a little bit. Take some air out of the ball. You've got some really talented backs. Allow Powell 5 carries for 68 yards. Running game has been very good for the Jets the last 2 weeks.
Zeb Forte was 75 yards on the ground. Second down, 11. Fitzpatrick raises one over there. Incomplete, looking for Marshall with the coverage by the two-time Pro Bowler Joe Hayden. Third and 11.
You cannot make this throw, Kevin, at this point in the game. You're up 28-20. Look at Joe Hayden. He's going to trail, and he gets underneath, and he's in a position to make this interception. That is a dangerous throw at this point in the game. Just throw the ball away. Second down. This is where he's got himself in trouble, when he gets greedy, when he tries to fit one in there to Brandon Marshall. It's a bad decision with an 8-point lead.
Jets are taking a timeout. They've scored 21 unanswered points after trailing at halftime 20-7. Tonight, what does marijuana have to do with this coming election? A lot. It may become legal in many more states. Plus, an American who led an ISIS cell on 60 Minutes tonight. So, Rich, we come into this game with Cleveland 0-7. They jump out to a 20-7 halftime lead. Something happened at halftime for the Jets because they have looked like a completely different team, as you said earlier, in the second half.
I think they got a stern talking to. What do you think? I mean, your season's on the, you're 2-5. You're coming off of a win last week. They're trying to become just the third team in the Super Bowl era to make it to the playoffs after starting 1-5. The 1970 Cincinnati Bengals, the 2015 Kansas City Chiefs. But you've got to be able to go on the road and win in Cleveland in Week 8 to get it done.
Third and 11.
Second time today.
Clady.
A little antsy.
False start, 5-yard penalty, remaining third down.
It's still long any way you look at it.
Those tackles, they get antsy, Kevin, when they have to sit in there for a while. They're waiting on the snap count. It's too good of a player. Been around too long to make that mistake.
The Jets have scored today on a Powell 35-yard touchdown run. Touchdown pass at 24 to Enunwa. Forte has had 2 consecutive touchdown runs of 4 and 2.
Wouldn't be a bad place to run the football.
Powell's back there, 3rd and 16.
Run it in this situation. I'm not going to give Fitzpatrick an opportunity to throw a pick.
You called it. Carpenter the block. There goes Powell off to the races. He's got the first down. Kindred was the one to bring him down. Flag.
Holding. Number 77 offense, 10-yard penalty. Remains third down.
That's Carpenter wiping out a 17-yard run.
Kevin, that's the same play they scored on in the first half.
Yep.
When you look at Carpenter.
It's going to be a spot foul.
This is a good-looking run. He just got to keep his hands in. He grabs Christian Kirksey.
That stretch jersey is always a giveaway. It's 3rd and 18 now.
I'd run it again. Run the same play. Get the same look. You're getting the same shell from the secondary. I'd run the same play. He's in the position to run the same play right here.
Forte, 3rd and 18. Just by midfield, Agua brings him down. Agba, a rookie, has had a nice game today.
Good play callers aren't afraid to make the same call, come back to the same call.
Would that be Chan Gailey?
Be Rich Gannon.
Be Rich Gannon.
Broadcast booth. I've always wanted to be a play caller, Kevin. You know that about me.
I do know that. You've been offered a chance to be a play caller.
But I think it was the right call in that situation. We just saw Fitz try and force one into Brandon Marshall. You've got an 8-point lead. Your defense is playing well. You got to play smart football. Punting is not the end of the world.
They need Edwards to get a good punt right here. Kind of a mixed day for him. High, hanging. Duke Johnson is back, and if they save it, they do. What a play. Grabbed by Justin Burris. A well-placed 48-yard punt, the best of the day by Lachlan Edwards. 38-yard punt. A beauty. And the Browns marooned at their 1.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Try the new Autumn Carb Turkey Sandwich today. And by the redesigned 2017 Kia Forte.
One-score game. Walk me through the mind here of the quarterback, McCown.
We need a little bit of breathing room here, but Josh McCown, Kevin, has been in plenty of these situations throughout his career. You get Sheldon Richardson for a neutral zone infraction. A little antsy.
Neutral zone infraction, 97 defense. 5-yard penalty.
There is no 97. 91 here. He's trying to time out the snap count. These defensive linemen, they get antsy in this part of the field because they know there's an opportunity for a safety. Safety here essentially wins the game for the Jets.
So you don't think about it as a quarterback the entire field. You just think now about chunks, right? You've got time, you've got timeouts.
Yeah, I think you got to look down here, Kevin, and say to yourself, you know, we tried to throw it deep. Let's try work underneath against Revis.
1st and 5. Johnson in the backfield. McCown. Incomplete. Looked like he might have been going for the tight end, Randall Telfer. He was a second-year tight end out of USC. Incomplete coverage by Malden.
It's not been a very good second half of offensive football for Hugh Jackson and his quarterback. Those 3 and outs, they're demoralizing. The interception on the previous possession. Some miscommunication between Pryor and McCown.
Another lineman has just been brought in. Sean Coleman, he's going to go wide.
Yeah, I saw this play in practice the other day. Can't tell you what's going to happen.
I know you can. 2nd and 5. They're looking for Barnage. Upended by Pryor. Up to the 12-yard line and a gain of 7 for the Browns.
And I like the idea, Kevin, that they're spreading out the Jets. Force Pryor to come and cover Barnage. Force him to play a little bit more man-to-man, single high coverage. You do that, it makes it more difficult for the Jets to play 2-deep man coverage and help the corners.
Jets have 6 in their secondary.
It's a challenge.
There sure is. With 4:53 to go. Cleveland, by the way, all 3 timeouts. Jets have 1. So Pete Morelli, who has 6 members of this crew.
New York is challenging the previous play of a completed catch.
6 members of this crew have officiated a Super Bowl on Morelli's crew. They've been officiating today in Cleveland. Oh, that's not a catch.
Well, we can't tell if it hits the leg of Calvin Pryor. That may be a catch. You know, clearly it's coming out, Kevin, but it looks like it may hit the back leg. Can't tell if it hits the leg of Calvin Pryor. It's a good tackle. Ball's coming loose, but I don't know if it ever hits the ground. I think he's got possession of that. Barnage has got great hands. He can make the difficult catch look easy. He's got a knack for finding holes in coverage.
You know, the Jets only have the 1 timeout left. If they lose the challenge, that timeout is gone.
Good look at the ball. You can't tell whether or not it's on the ground. Maybe it is.
I think it is. There's too much going on.
Yeah, but it's got to be conclusive. You got to be able to tell that ball clearly hit the ground. Look at it a number of different angles.
After reviewing the play, the ball hit the ground. It's an incomplete pass. Please set the game clock to 5:19. The ball will be placed back at the 6-yard line.
Good challenge by Todd Bowles.
And they don't lose a timeout.
This is probably the best look at it. It's hard to tell where Pryor's leg was, but clearly the ball's coming out. I just couldn't tell whether or not it bounces back up there. You can't tell whether it hits the ground, but maybe right there it hits the ground as he gets his right leg out of the way.
Both coaches today have won a challenge in this one. The clock at 5:19, 3rd and 5.
Hurry, hurry, go!
McCown, drilled by Pryor and picked off on the play of the ricochet. It was intercepted on the play by Molden. Lorenzo Molden. That's the second interception. Second Cleveland turnover. And look where it is. Inside the 10 at the 8.
How about the last 2 plays? Calvin Pryor has made it the safety position. He's the one that comes down here, and he's going to make the initial hit that jars the ball loose. And you look at Lorenzo Molden, he's in a perfect position, a little unexpected good fortune. But look at the hit from Pryor to knock the ball away from Duke Johnson Jr.
It's the first Jet linebacker interception in 49 games. Molden getting the ricochet. It's 1st and goal to go for the Jets.
49 games.
Isn't
It's
it
over
amazing?
3 years.
I know it is. Anderson on the move. Forte. He kind of sidestepped Danny Shelton there, who tripped him up enough. There's a loss of a yard, back to the 9. Timeouts, Jets 1, Cleveland 3.
Well, if you're Ryan Fitzpatrick, the message in the huddle, anyone who's handled the football, we've got to be smart in this situation. Even a field goal in this situation makes it a 2-score game. Just can't afford a mistake in this part of the field. Jets 5 red zone turnovers, the most in football this season. Got to be smart in this part of the field. Be surprised to see him run it again.
2nd down and goal at the 8. Forte with 2 rushing touchdowns today. Tries to get as close as the 5. He's got 3 on the run into the teeth of that defense. Howard from the secondary along with Xavier Cooper make the stop.
Now Hugh Jackson's having to burn some timeouts, knowing that he's most likely going to fall behind by a couple scores. Couple turnovers. This is a defense, Kevin, that coming into today's game, they needed to be able to create some more negative plays. Just 6 takeaways in their first 7 games. They got a couple last week, which was huge. A couple more today in the second half. A couple big interceptions. That's really, you think about Todd Bowles, a guy that believes in bringing pressure, playing attacking style of defense. And sometimes the turnovers come in bunches. We're starting to see that from this Jets defense the last 2 weeks.
You've mentioned a couple times, minus 10 coming in, last in the NFL. 2 takeaways today. Would you run it here, Rich, on 3rd and goal from the 5?
I would.
Powell's back.
I ain't taking any chances. The defense is playing great. Well, Powell.
Caught up in the water.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Kevin, you and I were doing a Raiders game a couple weeks ago and saw that very same play.
We did.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
You know, they had there catching it was a defensive lineman.
Dontari Poe for the touchdown.
365 pounds of Poe.
So it's a safe play, and I like the idea that you get it to Enunwa, who can easily break tackles.
Well, the field goal unit is out there for the Jets on 4th down.
Just nothing more than a perimeter run. Enunwa is going to be a really good player, Kevin, once he gets it all figured out. But he has the size, the strength, the power, and the speed that we've seen the last 2 weeks.
Browns have just taken the timeout. Here is a 24-yard field goal by Nick Folk. They extend their lead. They have scored 24 unanswered points. And with 4:04 to go, the Jets lead by 11. Saturday, it's a CBS college football triple-header. First, Notre Dame takes on Navy. Then Florida takes on Arkansas. In primetime, #1 Alabama at LSU. all next weekend on CBS Sports.
Boy, I really like, excuse me, Ken, I really like how Ryan Fitzpatrick has responded the last couple weeks. Disappointment to get sat down last week, replaced by Geno Smith. He replaces Geno after Geno suffered a career-ending knee injury. Did a nice job in the second half of that one. And after a really rough first half where you and I thought maybe he got knocked out of the game, he has really come on here, 16 of 34, 228 yards. He's made some great decisions at the line of scrimmage, changing from pass to run, run to pass. He has really played well. He's provided a spark for the Jets here the last week and a half.
How did you sense Bowles and management took to his comments after last week's game?
I don't think they were pleased. No. I'm sure that was a conversation that they had. We talked to Ryan Fitzpatrick last night. He said, look, it wasn't so much about them. It was about me believing in myself. Maybe it didn't come out the right way, but you work in that market, you got to be careful what you say.
Atkinson, he'll take it out. Nice special teams play right there by Josh Martin. He began his career with Kansas City. 16-yard return.
Well, Josh McCown's got to be aggressive here. They've got to really hustle. Time is not on their side. Create some big chunk plays, and the guy that they really don't have a lot of options. Kev, you look at the receivers, the guy they want to throw the ball to is Pryor. Barnes doesn't have a ton of speed, and I'm sure we're going to see a ton of double coverage. They're not going to let Pryor be a factor here at the end of this one.
With Duke Johnson in the backfield, 1st and 10. Pressure, Molden's got it. Dropped by Johnson. And across the way, Bill Roberts was there to level him. Flag. Nope, no flag. Greco was down and slow to get up.
There's something on the field.
I was just going to say, I think it's a shoot. No, it's a.
No, it's quarterback's
hand warmer.
Hand warmer.
Yeah.
What's the world coming to? It's the official's hand warmer, is it? No, it's orange. Pete Morelli's too tough to wear a hand warmer, no. Kevin. That's silly.
But he just got a souvenir. 2nd down and 10. Barnage has it. Grabbed quickly by Williams. Hauled down. 27-yard line. Close to the first down. No, he got the first down. Being at 10.
Got to get him in quick, and Josh McCown's got to get him called quickly at the line of scrimmage. Everybody has to hustle back.
First and 10. Count it as he throws. He had Steve McClendon coming right up the middle with the pressure. 2nd and 10. Sheldon Richardson was joining him.
Throwing the ball away on 1st and 10, not a bad thing. You just can't take a sack in that situation. Any big completion here, I think you're better off running down the field and clocking it. You waste way too much time trying to line up and get a play called in this situation.
2nd down, 10.
Well, that's an unusual call.
Gets out of bounds. Duke Johnson does. Clock will continue to roll, though. No gain on the play. And 1 timeout left for each team.
And look at how much time they're wasting here. A bunch of linemen standing around. You just don't see the urgency. This is from a winless team.
3rd and 10.
8th time today, Kevin, the Browns have faced a 3rd and 10 or longer. Not the situation you want to be in against a Jets defense that likes to bring pressure.
John wanted to go deep. He goes underneath instead. Duke Johnson. He makes Stanford miss. And then Revis will bring him down with the catch and run to the 43. Picks up 17. That is a Cleveland first down. Clock is rolling. 1 timeout apiece. First and 10. Crowell has come in the backfield. 5 defensive backs to the Jets. Moves up niftily into the hands of Andrew Hawkins. In the vicinity covering was Julian Stanford. 2nd down and 10.
It just looked like a completely different offense here in the second half. You look at those numbers Pryor had a huge first half against Rivas, shut down in the second half. Kevin, you mentioned the injury. In fact, he hasn't been practicing a little bit. He's been taking himself out of the game quite a bit. I don't know if it's a conditioning thing or if it's just the fatigue, but he needs to be out there in a critical situation. I can't imagine in my career Jerry Rice or Tim Brown coming out of the game late. I would have had a fit.
2nd down and 10. They were going for Ricardo Lewis with the coverage by Rivas. And he makes the grab near midfield, pickup of 7. We have reached that 2-minute warning in Cleveland. Subway postgame show is on deck from New York with James Brown and others. Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. Scores, highlights, and news. Subway postgame show coming up next. I know Fireman Ed will be curious to see how this one ends. Making the trip to Cleveland. Watching his Jets come from a 20-7 halftime deficit to lead it 31-20. 24 unanswered. 3rd and 3. 1 timeout apiece. Duke Johnson, missed tackle by Rivas. He slips out of the grasp of another one, Simon. He picks up 6 on the play. He gets the first down to the 44 of the Jets.
Well, they're taking too much time. They're making substitutions. Players are having a difficult time getting lined up. They should be interchangeable. The other inside receivers just jump outside.
1st and 10. Down the middle, Duke Johnson. And hit on the play by Calvin Pryor. 26-yard catch and run to the 18-yard line of the Jets and another first down. McCown's got 324. 340 is the record by Brian Sight. They're chasing him there with Richardson and Stanford, and incomplete as they were going for Barnidge. And the coverage by Pryor.
Well, you know, you think about it on the sidelines, you're always talking about situational football. You need 2 scores, Kevin. You can kick the field goal here, try the onside kick, and then, you know, roll the dice. I think the prudent thing to do here is to try and score the touchdown. You may not get down here again.
How about that play sheet, that script?
He's got a lot of plays on there. He's got a lot more on there this week, I can promise you, because of the fact that he's got Josh McCown back in there under center.
1 timeout apiece. 2nd down and 10.
We're going to start throwing the ball in the end zone, taking some shots.
Down.
Got to get
a block from DeVal. Look at him breaking tackles inside the 5. Finally hit by Harris, who trips him up inside the 5. Catch and run a 16. Put him at the 2. 1st and goal. But you got to show some urgency.
Look, they can't even get lined up. Just throw the ball to the end zone. A little fade route. Give somebody a chance. Oh, they're wasting precious seconds.
1st and goal. Crowell. Stop.
Right,
yeah.
Jeez.
They'll take a timeout, I'm assuming. But they blew like 4 seconds.
They should have used a timeout earlier. Kevin, there's other ways to stop the clock. You can throw the ball away. You can run out of bounds.
And that, as a quarterback, is the first thing on your mind.
Well, this should happen with a veteran quarterback and a veteran play caller. They did not do a good enough job managing the clock here at the end of the game.
And just to update something I said moments ago, the Cleveland passing record for a game was thrown by Brian Sipe in 1980 for 340 yards, and that's exactly where McCown is right now, 340 yards. Second down and goal. And for Barnidge.
He got 1 foot in.
Yep, he did. He was covered there by Rontez Miles. 3rd and goal at the 1.
This is where Barnidge was so effective last year. He had 9 catches in this part of the field. 8 went for touchdowns.
I think we got some bad information on the Sipe thing, didn't we? Because it didn't last.
You and I did a game last year where Josh McCown, I think, threw for
He did.
over 400.
He did.
On the road against the Ravens.
3rd and goal at the 1, 14th play of the drive. And caught by Hawkins for his 2nd touchdown of the day. Beat Marcus Williams again. Williams taking the place of the inactive Buster Screen, who's got a knee injury.
Quick throw here to the flat. Now they've got to go for 2. Kick an onside kick. And then, I just don't think you have enough time, Kevin. 12 seconds. You think to yourself, if they had 30 or 40 seconds, maybe they'd get a chance.
They are 1 for 3 on 2-point conversions this season.
Well, here's Pryor. This is where I'm thinking if I'm Josh McCown, you got the one-on-one matchup, give him a chance to go up and make a play.
Good ball, Rich. They got him, and they beat Daryl Roberts. So they get the 2 points. A field goal separates them, and 12 seconds to go. And Cleveland out of timeouts.
The corners inside. Look how strong Pryor is. He takes that right arm right across the shoulder and the face of Daryl Roberts to create separation and squeeze it with one hand.
Now, I'm assuming an onside kick.
No question about it. And get a good look at Parkey. These kickers, Kevin, they work on this in practice. Different situations. They're going to roll it. They're going to bounce it a couple times.
Well, Parkey has pulled off a successful onside kick this year already.
Yep, and then of course on the other side you've got your hands team over there for the Jets. You got Quincy Enunwa, you've got Brandon Marshall, receivers, tight ends, backs, linebackers, guys that have good hands that can make these plays. These guys block up front.
Marshall,
too easy for Marshall.
Down he goes, and that'll do it. And the Jets are going to win their 2nd consecutive game and go to 3-5.
Good job by the front line of defense. They get out of the way. They do what they're supposed to do. They block, and they allow Brandon Marshall to make the play. You called a game, Kevin, where the Packers and Seattle Seahawks where a player in that very same situation panicked, a tight end, and decided to field it rather than, I think it was...
they cut him.
They cut him, but it was instead of...
And he was
Jordy,
a former basketball.
Jordy Nelson was sitting back there ready to make the catch.
So they get the win today, the Jets do, after trailing 20-7 at halftime. Go on to score 24 unanswered points and come up with their 2nd consecutive win. And for Hugh Jackson, they remain winless. They have lost the Browns today. They're going to 0-8. The Browns have lost 18 of 19, 26 of their last 29. And the journey continues. The Jets have got new hope with their 2nd consecutive win. Coming up next, the Subway postgame show. For Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan, so long from Cleveland. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.